G'day. It's your boy Danny D, aka Alak-Azul man, coming to you with a live stream with my usual partner in crime, Lucky Eric. Hi
What's
there.
going on, man?
Awesome special guest, Forex Shark. Welcome,
The
guys.
man.
The man. You there?
Hey, thanks for having me. Do you hear an echo?
No, we don't.
I don't.
Do you?
I don't hear it anymore. I did hear an echo for a second.
Okay, cool.
Okay, that could be your echo cancellation on your audio setup on StreamYard there, but it should be fine. I'm not getting an echo from you
Yeah.
now.
I need a light, dude.
Yeah, okay. It's all set. It's just I pulled up the link to share it and it was playing on one of the tabs in the background, so I just shut it off.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I
Yeah.
just had to do that too. Awesome. Well, there you
Yeah.
go. What's
Forex,
good, man?
I need Manor Farm up because I need a new light or something. So I need Manor Farm up.
It's
I
coming.
need to afford a new light.
It's coming soon.
Yeah,
bro.
man.
We have the private pre-sale that's coming in 2 days, but I actually have an announcement that I wanted to make on here.
Ooh.
And we can get into it.
Awesome.
I guess when we get to the part about talking about the pre-sale, I'll mention it. But yeah, I think it's kind of a big deal, and it's something that worked very well with Drip. So we wanted to, add it to, our strategy for the Manor Farm pre-sale. But
Nice.
we'll get into that.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice.
Awesome. Yeah, basically, bro, we again, thank you for being on here. It's been a struggle to try to match the time with you, obviously with our time differences, but here we are. So again, super thanks, man. Super thanks for being on here. Got lots of people there just waiting.
We were having internet problems before you got on too. So it's like,
yeah.
In the Philippines, we're known in the Philippines for the best internet.
Mm-hmm.
The best at being the shittiest. Yeah.
Oh, that's not true. Well, I know there are some Asian countries that have the internet that are way more advanced than the U.S. For example, I think South Korea has, and Singapore maybe.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Right.
For sure, has extremely good internet. So I have no clue about the Philippines. I thought maybe you were being, you weren't joking there.
No, they love to throttle. They love to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They do. I mean, the thing is, like, well, actually, my connections are, I'm at 160 Mbps, right? It's
That's good.
super fast.
That's what they say.
But stability is another issue. But it should be all fine now. So
Okay, yeah.
Well,
I'll
give you the floor, man.
Okay, if you want to give me the floor, I guess then we should probably screen share then.
Yes, do it. And set that up, and I'll add that on for you.
Okay. Let's see. Screen share. All right, so I'm gonna share my entire screen, but I'm just gonna switch it really quickly to because I have nothing.
Yeah, sure. Now, when you share it here, I've got to approve it anyway, bro.
Okay.
So when you're ready.
Do you have to approve it beforehand?
It'll pop up on my screen here, but it won't actually go to. It won't go onto the actual screen until I click on it and put it up there. So.
Okay, let me see. Share. Yeah, because the share button is like grayed out. So.
Oh. Hang on. Shouldn't be. Just a sec. Why is that? Shouldn't be at all.
For me. I'm not even logged in too, so it's like.
Yeah. Lucky, you want to just try to share something, even just your desktop without anything on it or something, just to see, because mine shares fine.
I don't know if you guys want to see what's on my desktop. You sure?
Yeah. Wait 1 second.
Yeah.
But the button's all right on my side.
All right. I could try sharing a different screen and then just pulling it up there.
Yeah. Oh, you might be in incognito, bro.
Oh, you know what? Okay, it's working now. Okay.
Okay, sweet.
Here we go.
So if you do that, then I'll add it.
All right.
Okay. When you're ready, you tell me, and I'll just add it to stream.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, right. I add to stream now. How's that? That's all right?
I can only see my screen here, but if it's showing the Manor Farm right now, the front end, then we're good.
Yep, definitely.
Yep.
All right. So the Manor Farm is a project that we're building that essentially is what I believe and what is designed to be the most sustainable, greatest appreciating farm and farm reward token that has been created yet on chain. We initially got the idea to build a yield farm due to wanting to add an incentive for PancakeSwap liquidity in the drip liquidity pool, specifically stablecoin liquidity, because you've seen that the markets, especially recently in the past few weeks, has been super volatile, and that volatile nature of the market causes shakeouts, and shakeouts are healthy, but if you have a project that is paired with something like BNB, for example, and you have a major breakout or major correction in BNB that causes a shakeout and causes panic selling, is going to have an effect on the price of tokens paired with it. And you could have a correction as far as USD value in your token, even if your token is performing greater than it's ever have, and continued growth, just because the base asset that it's paired with is correct. And we're seeing that right now.
Yep.
So the idea was we want to incentivize BUSD liquidity, which is a stable coin liquidity, and when Drip has a significant pairing with a base asset that is stable, in this case BUSD, it will allow the token to essentially go up when there's buying and go down when there's selling of that token, regardless of what the rest of the market is doing. And Drip has performed extremely well. Every single correction that we've had in Drip was started off, or the catalyst was a correction in BNB itself, the base asset that started the bearish momentum. And if we had BUSD liquidity from the start, we likely wouldn't have seen these corrections in the market, because the performance and growth of Drip has been very consistent and very strong. So we started looking at partnerships that we could potentially use, and specifically looking at farm partnerships. But we set up meetings with some other projects that weren't specifically farm related, but had some way of incentivizing liquidity, incentivizing people to add liquidity to PancakeSwap. And we saw that there was a major lack in the space right now with farms that are built to be sustainable, that have integrity behind them, that have a development team that's been working in the space for a long time and has built up trust equity. And we essentially built this farm to fill that vacuum and address some of the needs that we had for our project Drip. And it started out being what I thought was going to be a week-long project, because farms are not incredibly difficult to build, especially if you're going with the same basic concepts that all the other farms are doing. If you're not actually developing something and you're just forking or cloning somebody else's work, it's fairly easy. And we were just looking for something to incentivize people to add liquidity to Drip, a farm that had the basic farm mechanics, and the fact that we were getting behind it would be enough to to get people to invest in it and know that their funds are secure, because they know at least there's a good dev behind it, and it's built to be a fork of whatever is the current trend in farms. But I don't have it in me to do something like that. I started working on something like that, and the idea was I wasn't going to launch it under my own name. I was going to have either an admin in my community or someone who I've been working with, a partner for a long time, have them launch it in their name, have it be just a standard farm with whatever the concepts that are popular at the time, and we'll have a partnership with Drip. I'll let them manage it, and that way I can move on to the next thing. But as soon as I started thinking about building out this farm, I started thinking of, well, the first step was, all right, let me look at a bunch of farms that are currently, just launched, that are popular right now, and see what they're doing. And I immediately started seeing ways that, whatever concept they were using could be improved, functions that I could develop that they're not doing at all, that no other farm's doing, that I think would, cause significant price appreciation over what they were doing, ways I could make it more sustainable. And next thing you know, we're a few months later, and I have something that is unlike what anybody else in the space is doing right now, and it's something that I'm proud of. I think the community will be proud of, and it's something that I want to have under my name, and I want to have under our umbrella of projects. So I just decided we're going to go all out with it. We're going to build the best possible farm I can, and launch it under our name, and build it into the ecosystem. So that's what we've done, and we can go over the white paper here in the front end to go over all of those functionalities that we added, or if you have any questions so far.
Yeah, no, that's great, because I mean there are a lot of farms out there. A lot of them just come and go as well. And you're saying like this one is an improvement on multiple farms out there. So maybe you could touch on like how does Manor Farm differentiate itself from the existing farms out there right now?
Yeah. Okay. So one of the so you were just saying farms, a lot of the farms aren't built to essentially stand the test of time. We built this farm specifically to have a multi-layer system. And the way this multi-layer system works is it allows us to add new components to the farm that don't disrupt the essentially the old functions of the farm. They migrate the value from the old layer to the new layer in a way that the people that are existing members of the farm benefit, and it incorporates some new mechanic that allows new capital to flow in, and essentially earn more yield in some way. The only reason why we would add a new layer is because it allows us to bring in some new capital flow from some additional way to earn yield, or something like this. So the way that we built this farm is to allow for additional layers to be built to keep us standing the test of time, and to keep us on top of whatever the latest tech is. Now, we started right off the bat developing the first two layers. And the reason why we're coming right from the start, before we ever raise any capital from the first layer of the presale, or before we ever raise any capital for the first layer in presale, we're getting all the info out there about layer 1 and layer 2, because the components of layer 2 are extremely important to layer 1 and allow you to understand how to take optimal advantage of layer 1. You need to understand the whole the whole system that we built with layer 1 and layer 2, how the migration happens, and how you can essentially accumulate your position in layer 1 to be a majority owner in layer 2. And it's very important to understand this migration from the start. From, if you're getting in pre-sale, you need to understand this before you get into the pre-sale. I can't tell you what you need to do, but if you want to take optimal advantage of it, this is what you should do, in my opinion. Right? Of course, of course, like all of my projects, you could buy them in pre-sale and sell them a month later for 10, 20x value if that's what you decide to do. But I think there's a lot more opportunity here if you actually get involved with the contracts and with the ecosystem. And I guess we'll go to starting to explain that now.
Do it.
So I'll go to the white paper here. Now, essentially, we chose an animal farm theme. The reason why we chose an animal farm theme is because in our layer 1, it starts out as a traditional farm as far as the deposit fees and the ownership role of the farm. The deposit fees go to the developers, like how most farms, they collect deposit fees for the developers collect the deposit fees and then allocate those fees in some specific way. Most developers essentially just pocket those deposit fees because they see it as their way to monetize the farm. We've built in additional ways that we can monetize the farm. So the deposit fees, in our case in L1, are going towards buybacks and marketing primarily. But there is it's still a traditional type of ownership model where the deposit fees go to the developers and developers then allocate those funds in some specific way. In L2, the deposit fees and all of the capital that is generated from the farm that would traditionally go to developers go to the stakers of the governance token. So essentially the ownership of the farm is being transferred from the developers, like a traditional farm, to the actual farmers, the people who have a stake in the farm. And with the classic novel Animal Farm, the way it works is the farm owner is an abusive farm owner, and we liken this to the people who are running the farms right now in the space. They're in it oftentimes to exploit the people that are getting in their project.
Correct.
For a quick cash grab and to essentially ride off the back of their work. So we liken the farmer, an animal farm, to the owners of the average farm in the space. And then layer 2, the migration to layer 2 is an animal farm. When the animals decide they're going to rise up and they're going to take control over the farm, they're going to take ownership of the farm, and now they have essentially a pride over their work. And in the book, it's a great novel, but essentially what you see is once they get an ownership of the farm, there's a sense of pride, a sense of self-worth, and all of the yield from the farm is increased due to their feeling of ownership and pride over the farm. So we like this theme. Of course, there's a lot more elements to Animal Farm, but this revolution theme and migration of ownership is the essentially the part of that theming that inspired me. That inspired me to use that theme for our farm. So you see here it says the layer 1 farm. The layer 1, the Manor Farm. Whatever goes upon 2 legs is an enemy. Whatever goes upon 4 legs or has wings is a friend. No animal shall wear clothes. No animal shall sleep in a bed. No animal shall drink alcohol. No animal shall kill any other animal. All animals are equal. And this is essentially the prideful start. And this is when they're all working together and they decide, all right, we're going to set up these new rules for our farm that we can live under. And we're all going to, we're all going to go with it. We're all going to work together. And essentially layer 1, it lasts for 14 days. And then we have the migration to layer 2. But first, let me just talk about the pre-sale. Now, the announcement that I wanted to make is we're going to add an additional small public raise, and the purpose of this is to get optimal promotion of the project. And people who were with us with Drip know that the way that we handled our public raise is that we essentially got together with 6 other promotional groups: Moonshot Hunters, Bartertown, Dog Pound, Black Sheep Crypto, the Drip Group, Gosu TV. There may be one more, I'm not sure, but either way, we got with these groups and we gave them a percentage of the allocation for the public pre-sale raise, had them do a whitelisting in their group, and then raised the capital. And this created a ton of buzz for Drip, because now we had 6 large promotional groups that had the most active people in their group with a small position in the project right from start, so they can start referring people and they can start onboarding the rest of the people in the group. But since the allocation was small, it didn't meet the demand in those groups. It just gave everybody who's active a taste, and now that they have a position, they're more willing to promote it right from the start. And the majority of that interest that was raised through the public pre-sale was not able to buy in pre-sale, or they were able to buy just a small position of what they wanted to have as their optimal position size. So when the farm went live, a vast majority of the buying of Drip initially came from these groups, from people who were alerted to the project through the initial pre-sale raise, but were not able to get into the pre-sale because the allocation was too small, or they got in but only were able to get $500 or $1,000 worth or whatever, and they wanted to get a lot more once it listed. So we're going to so when I talked to you, when we talked before this interview, I was saying I had just got done with a meeting with the owners of these groups and with my partners, and we had just decided that we are going to go through with this. So I haven't gotten a chance to update the white paper, and I was saying that maybe we should schedule this for tomorrow at noon. That way I could get an opportunity to update the documentation. But it's for the better that we're doing it now. But people that are listening now, just know that tomorrow around 9:30 EST, we're going to make an announcement. That announcement is going to have pre-sale dates, pre-sale times, and
awesome,
and the updated info about the additional 150,000 that we're raising in this this secondary public pre-sale. And 150,000 is that's a very small amount of money. It's going to be about 20,000 BUSD raised per group, right? So it's a very small amount of the demand in these groups, but it's going to get these groups buzzing for the next week about this public sale, about the pre-sale, about listing. And we have a referral program for L1 and 2 and the minor. So that means those people that get in a pre-sale, they're ready to start referring as soon as it goes live. So I think so I think it's important that we did this. The only reason why we didn't plan to do this from the start is because from the start I was thinking that we were going to do this as essentially a quick side project and move on to the NFT game. But it became a major project that I really want to get behind, and I want to make sure that it has the most possible promotion that we can put towards it. And I want to use every possible strategy that I know to make sure it's successful. So it was just a matter of me getting with all the group owners and working things out. And of course, when I asked them if they were down, every single one of them was like, "Yeah, I want as much as I can possibly get for the group."
Of course.
Because I've never had a pre-sale that did less than 20x. B-Reap
Yeah.
did I think 47x. Reap Reap did over 800x. Reap the
Wow.
last all-time high was, I believe, 840x, and we broke that all-time high. We just hit $40 on Reap like 12 hours ago. So
Man, that's crazy, isn't it?
yeah, it
Congrats, bro.
listed.
Yeah. Wow.
That's a that is a 1000x return.
Yeah.
We listed at 4 cents. So
Wow.
yeah, so that's a 1000x on Reap. I love to see it, man, because Reap is the first project I ever launched under my own name. Before, and I want to keep this tight and stick to the project, because some of the other interviews I did, we went into a lot more other than the project, which is fine for me. But I wanted something that I can give to the people that they can get a quick run through the project. But just to say, since I brought up Reap, Reap is the first project I launched under my own name. Before I had worked on Reap, I had been running a DAO that was sorry, not a DAO, a Discord group that was focused towards crypto and hosting pre-sales, and a lot of the projects that I hosted in there, I either worked on their development team or I advised them. So I had worked and helped develop a lot of projects, but Reap was the first one I built 100% myself, launched it under my own name, with my own network, everything just by myself. And it's breaking all-time highs to this day, when literally every one of our competition that built with similar mechanics as us and at the same time as us, they're gone. I don't know a single one of them that is still trading coin with volume and doing any action, while we're still breaking all-time highs over a year later. So
That's beautiful, man.
yeah,
You're just getting started too. Yeah.
Yeah, we are just getting started. There's so much more I can do with Reap and the DAO specifically. But it just goes to show that the projects that I launch them with a vision, and it's always a long-term vision, and it's always about adding to the existing ecosystem that I'm trying to build. And this is why we're having a pre-sale for a farm that I'm launching on Binance Smart Chain, and my token that I launched over a year ago on the ERC20 network is pumping, right? Because it's all one ecosystem that I built with this long-term vision to let every project I build support the previous products that came before it.
Yeah.
So that's important to me, and the Manor Farm is going to be right in that same lane, where anything that I build, in the future, will be in support of my previous projects, including the Manor Farm, and the fact that I can add additional layers to the Manor Farm allow us to do this a lot easier, because it opens up our options for ways that we can integrate it to the project in the future through adding additional layers to the farm to properly interact or serve whatever utility makes sense with the newest projects we add to the ecosystem. So very exciting on that end. So
totally.
So the pre-sale raise, we're going to update this to 1.75 million. That is a very small raise. That's about that's a little more than half the funds we raised for Drip. People that saw Drip list saw there was no dump, there was no listing dump, nobody taking arbitrage profit on listing. The price just steadily rose for months and months, no correction there. And that's because we structure pre-sales correctly. And this is using the same basic structure that we used for all of our pre-sales to ensure that it has a successful appreciating launch, and we we added a couple extra things. For example, the way that the funds are allocated. Now, we're keeping this same ratio here. We're still having 10%, 20%, 30, 40%. It's just 10% of 1.75. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, so it's the same percentages. It's just, there's an extra 150,000 being raised.
Yeah.
Now, when I was trying to figure out what we would use for the max for the public presale, for example, this is when someone looks or thinks about $500,000. That kind of sounds like a lot, but
yeah,
when you set the allocations, the max allocation for how many people can contribute to the presale and how much they can buy, you realize how much smaller it is than you actually think.
Yeah,
right.
for sure.
For example, if we're doing 5,000, if we're doing basically, if you do the math at the max allocation that we're going to be giving to the public sale, only about 50 people will actually be able to get in if everybody does the max. So we're keeping it very tight, and that's it's just important. And when you do this math, it just gives you an idea of how small the raise actually is. If everybody gets in at the max, you're letting a relatively small amount of the people that are interested in the project get in, and they're getting in a small amount. So this is why we decided to lower the max amount per person in public to ensure that we're allowing more people in. And we'll tomorrow in the announcement, we're gonna have the exact maximum and minimum allocation per person for public and private. I alluded to what those could be, but we're gonna have that in the announcement tomorrow, all structured exactly what the minimum and maximum and everything is.
Perfect.
In the announcement tomorrow with the updated documentation. But for the funds that we're raising, 10% goes to development, and that's essentially just paying the artist, paying my partners, paying myself for the 3 months that I put into working on this, and essentially paying all the costs associated with getting this built. 20% for marketing, and this is going to go towards a rug doc review, a rug doc marketing, and they're pretty good marketers in the space. For people in the know that know about farms, they know about rug doc, and rug doc on average, if someone from what I've seen does a rug doc promotion, and their mechanics are at all interesting, they're getting 30, 40, 50 million TVL in the first day on the farm. So getting a rug doc review and marketing, that's up there, that's 100% happening. We're getting a Paladin audit, which Paladin does great third-party audits, and Paladin marketing. So you can pay Paladin a bit extra to essentially market their audit to their following. A lot of people watch Paladin and just see what the next what projects they're auditing, because they know if a project went through the trouble of getting a Paladin audit, they just got audited, chances are it's a fairly new project, and chances are they're somewhat diligent. So people look to these audit what do we want to call it? These audit publishings as a form of marketing, and you can pay a bit extra to have Paladin actively market the publication of your audit. So we're doing that. We're also getting a banner on one of the major crypto sites that basically everybody that's trading on these markets uses, in day-to-day trading, charting specifically.
Yep.
And we have a lot more work in the works as far as different YouTubers and Twitter influencers and TikTok for paid marketing. And the best part about our farm is that we have multiple ways that we're earning yield on the farm that allows us to always be setting aside a certain percentage of the funds for marketing. And because of this, we'll have a sustained marketing budget, which is so important, but we'll also be able to use essentially all of this 20% that we're raising in pre-sale for marketing for the pre-sale and launch. It's not going to be like other projects that raise however much in capital for marketing, and then you see maybe they spend a little bit and then the rest just kind of sits in the wallet, and you don't know when they're going to spend it, you don't know if they're going to spend it.
Yeah, right.
We're using all of the funds that we raise in pre-sale specifically to market the public pre-sale and the launch. So any other marketing funds that we receive after that through the yield that we generate on the back end of the farm, that we will use for sustained marketing. And everybody knows that marketing, or maybe not everybody knows, but it's I know, developers know, people that are paying attention to the space know that marketing is so important. It may be more important than functionality. As long as you have something that is secure and functional, marketing is going to determine whether you succeed or fail. And I could even make the argument that it doesn't matter if you're secure and functional. We look at,
that's true. Yeah.
I could name a ton of different projects, like Safe Moon. I'll name Safe Moon just because, like,
okay, there you go.
It's not going to be a major battle because I named Safe Moon.
No,
Safe Moon did whatever it did, a major pump. It wasn't secure. Yeah. It did nothing, but it had that marketing behind it.
Yeah.
And if we can create something that is functional, that is secure, and get the marketing behind it,
solid. Yep.
This is what we need, right? So this is why, unlike some of the other projects that I've built in the past, we have a sustained marketing budget for the farm. And because all of my projects are part of one big ecosystem, that means sustained marketing for all of the projects now.
Correct.
Whereas before in the past, I've raised funds, I've taken a small percentage of the pre-sale raise for marketing, but then that's a finite amount of marketing. And since I never use the tokens that I raised in pre-sale as bargaining chips to get people to market, and I never sell the tokens to either secure profit for myself or to use those funds for marketing, it limits our ability to market, and that won't be the case anymore for the Manor Farm and for the ecosystem, because this project allows for sustained cash flow for marketing, and it's done through essentially a wallet that everybody can keep track of. So it's not some wish-washy set of wallets that is just like me and my partner send it back and forth. It's a dedicated wallet for marketing that everybody can watch and monitor, which is important. Transparency is very important, I feel.
With you, we noticed.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, man. Of all the days for my internet to decide to fuck up. Sorry, excuse my language.
And we don't need you anyway. I'm kidding. It's all good.
Has the stream been going okay though?
Well,
the stream's fine. The stream's fine. It's on the cloud anyway. It's just like mine seems to be messing up on my end, but you're still there. It's all good.
All good,
Okay. Okay.
Sorry. Keep going.
It's all good. So we can't control some of those things, right? Some, if we're
Yeah.
actually, but I do have a generator, and I make sure I always have a hotspot, not for interviews, for trading. Because
Oh yeah, for sure.
I've been trading as my primary career, trading, developing for a long time now, almost a decade. So, because of that, I've completely set myself up for, everything could go down. And I know I at least have an hour where I have online and I can handle things. So it's important.
I'm at the point that I'm actually going to get a second internet service as well with a totally different provider.
Your mobile data might be better.
Yeah,
but even that, mobile data is great, except for in my office, which is really weird. Outside, it's on 500 Mbps or something. But once I step into my office, it dies. I think there's a little gadget you can get now that you can actually help improve the signal.
Well, there's relays. But what I was going to say is you could get a Starlink. Those Starlinks, I don't remember how much money they are, but they're not super expensive. But then it's a fairly low cost, high speed internet, satellite based. That it's by it's under the umbrella of Elon Musk companies. So it's SpaceX is the one that put up the satellites for Starlink. And everybody that I know that uses Starlink has been very happy with it. So, I know some people that live in the Midwest that live like on a farm, basically like deep country. And they use a Starlink and it works for them, great. And I know some people in Europe as well that use it. So, and it's global.
It's global.
Yeah, look it up.
Well, yeah, Philippines has a version. Another Starlink. No, I'm kidding.
Starlink. So it might be worth it. I would get it if I didn't have reliable internet. I would get it for sure because it's reliable.
I mean, look, it just chose today because normally I don't have any issue. It's just it's you, bro.
I hope not.
People are watching, maybe.
Nah.
They don't. Good.
But anyway.
All right.
Anyway.
So I just got finished talking about why marketing is so important and how this project allows for a consistent base of cash flow for marketing in ways that we haven't done with other projects and in ways that other projects aren't doing. My project or any other projects in the space don't have it set up the way that we have it set up to have a sustained marketing budget. And I'll explain that. But for right now, I'm talking about the 20% of the pre-sale raise going to marketing. 30% goes to rewards in L1. So this is essentially if you are staked in the farm token for the single asset pool, the farm token for L1 is the REV token. If you get into the REV single asset pool for staking, you earn BUSD rewards. These BUSD rewards are coming from the funds raised in the public pre-sale, the 500 BUSD. So, so that BUSD is essentially going directly as a it's going directly as a reward for the L2 platform. And it's set up to make the L1 platform sustainable because it provides a way to take profit on the platform or on the farm without needing to sell the REV token, which allows you to accumulate more REV tokens and use them for their primary use case, which is as a pre-sale token for L2. So like I was saying, L1 is only a 14-day period. So it L1 only lasts 14 days. At the end of those 14 days, emissions stop. And at that point, the L1 farm reward token is used for the pre-sale of L2. And this is why I essentially call L1 an extended launch period for the farm. That's essentially what its utility is. The utility for the L1 farm token is as a pre-sale token, essentially. And the L1 platform is essentially like a launchpad platform for L2. That's one way that people could think of it. But, there's a lot to it. So you don't have to necessarily look at it that way. You could look at it as a very sustainable farm and, take advantage of it that way. But I think the people who seek the most benefit and optimize the farm, to the max degree, are people that look at it as a launch period where they can accumulate as many REV tokens as possible to use in the L2 presale, and then they get a large position and become a majority owner in L2. I believe those people are going to be the ones that seek the max benefit from the platform. Right. And then we have 40% of the fundraise going to liquidity. So that's essentially, we take the amount of REV tokens and pair them with 40% of the BUSD raised. We add them to PancakeSwap in the PancakeSwap liquidity pool, and now we have the REV tokens tradable on the market. The amount of REV tokens we use to add this liquidity is enough to list at about $8. That's the REV token is going to list at around $8, and people who get into the public presale are going to get it for 10% under listing price. So if it lists at $8, you're going to get it at $7.20, somewhere around there, something like that. And then if you get into the private sale, you're going to get it for 20% under listing. So it even better value. Also, if you get into the private sale, your max allocation for your own person is going to be significantly larger than if you get into the public presale. And this is because people who are in the DAO are people who have been with me for a long time. They've been with me for years, many of them, and they're people who we know are true believers of the project and are in it for the long haul. And these are people that are much more likely to stake and remain in a stake position for years. So, a lot of people have a public and a private pre-sale raise, where the private pre-sale raise is a larger allocation, and oftentimes this just goes to insiders without any looking into their merit, or there's no weight there with their merit. Right. Whereas ours, there's a bit of a merit weighting there, because people who are in the DAO have shown themselves to be long-term holders, and people who do positive actions and do staking in the platforms. And just the fact that they have the REV tokens that they have to join the DAO proves that. And also, many of them have been people that joined the DAO because they were in the Discord group before we migrated to Telegram, which was years ago, and these people have been with us for years. So it's not based on like insiders, anything like that, like a lot of other projects did. It's based on merit, and essentially people who have shown that they're willing to bring a large amount of capital into the system and leave it in for a long period of time. So we want to have these people behind us, and we want to have those people as essentially large holders of the token, because we know that they're going to be the ones that are the backbone, and they're going to be in there for the long run. And the additional raise that we have, the $150,000 raise, is going to be essentially a raise handled like we did with Drip, where we're going to have about 6 different groups that are promotional groups. We're going to allocate about $20,000 to each of them, and essentially allow for probably 20 people in that group to have a 1,000 BUSD position, or maybe 40 to have a $500 BUSD position. But you see what I'm saying? They're small positions. It's just to get buzz going in the group,
right?
And all of that capital raise is going split in the ways that I just talked about, the 10, 20, 30, and
Yeah.
40%, right? So
Awesome.
when we raise the funds in pre-sale, essentially we'll have the private sale, and then we'll have the public sale in the groups, and then we'll have the public sale on the website. And the as soon as the public sale on the website is over, we will add that liquidity to PancakeSwap, and then people can take their PREV tokens, because when they buy into the pre-sale, they immediately get a PREV token. They send say you send 500 BUSD to the swap page for the pre-sale, you're gonna get 600 PREV or whatever the exchange rate is. Now you have those PREV, and as soon as liquidity is added to the REV token, you can now swap your PREV token for the real deal, like live REV token.
Yep.
Then there's a 30-minute period that allows people to enter into the staking pools and into the farms, and essentially start referring each other. And this is where, if you have some sort of team structure or something like that, you would execute your referral program to get everybody referred and get everybody ready to go. You can still refer people after it goes live, but this gives you an opportunity to do that before the rewards go live. So this is important for L2, that we have this grace period, more so than L1, but it's still I feel it's still the most optimal way to launch a farm. So we have that 30-minute grace period that allows people to get prepared for the emissions to start. Now I'm going to go over to the farm here. Actually, you can see my screen, correct?
Yep.
All right, this is the pre-sale tab part. This is where you'll be able to send in BUSD and get PREV tokens.
Yep.
After the liquidity is added, this same page is where you'll be able to swap your PREV tokens for REV tokens immediately after liquidity is added. Now, there is a deposit fee. You can't see it unless I connected my wallet, but there's a deposit fee of 4% on the farms. There's no deposit. No, not on all farms.
Okay.
Only on the non-core farms. For REV WBB, REV BUSD, and DRIP BUSD, DRIP is considered a core farm, there is no deposit fee. For all other farms, and we have a lot of them, there's a deposit fee. And this deposit fee is then allocated, instead of doing what basically every other yield farm does out there, and essentially monetizes the platform for the developers through the deposit fees. We are allocating the deposit fees to grow and promote the platform. And the majority of the capital that we raise through these deposit fees is going towards buybacks of the REV token, where these REV tokens are removed from circulation, and marketing. And this is when I brought up that we will have a sustained cash flow in order to pay for marketing and not just rely on the capital raised in pre-sale. This is one of the ways that we'll be able to generate cash flow to pay for marketing. And if I go to here, the white paper, you'll see that we broke it up: 30% buybacks, 30% marketing, 30% development, or to pay for development, and 10% for platform expenses. Now, platform expenses, what this is, we take all of the collateral that is staked on the website in the form of LP tokens and individual asset tokens. We use a rehypothecation contract, which takes that capital, which would be otherwise just sitting in the farm contracts, and we stake them in PancakeSwap's low risk, yield generating contract. So what that allows us to do is generate an extra 20 to 40% APY dependent on the pair, but let's just say on average through all the farms and all the pools, we'll be generating an extra 30% APY that we otherwise wouldn't be able to generate, and would just be, you know, wasted potential. And we're generating that in the form of cake, which will then be sold for BUSD and used to buy back the REV token, pay for marketing, and pay for developing. And the reason why this is important is because it will allow us to do L3 and the next layers without needing to do additional raises potentially.
Right.
And it I should say, when I talk about that 10%, so 10% platform expenses, what I'm referring to there are extra transactions going on in the background to stake that those LP tokens and PancakeSwap, to collect the cake, to sell the cake for BUSD, to use that BUSD for buybacks. All of that is extra transactions going on in the background. Now, it's relatively cheap to pay for gas for Binance Smart Chain, but it is a couple dollars per transaction if you're dealing with more complex contracts and more complex transactions. And, you know, if that's a couple people, it's fine. But with our farm, we're going to have thousands of people, thousands of transactions. That's thousands of dollars. So we need a sustainable way to pay for that gas. And that's where that 10% being put aside of yield that we generate on the back end is to pay for that. Any funds that we don't use specifically to pay for gas will go towards marketing and buybacks. But we just, you know, this is how we ensure that our project is self-sustaining.
It's self-sustaining,
And that's so important because when we migrate ownership of the farm to the farmers themselves and the people who have the governance token staked, essentially they are the new owners. They have they are the ones that are collecting their percentage of the deposit fee. They're collecting a percentage of the yield generated in the background. They're the ones that can vote on proposals to decide what the next step is for new additional layers, layer 3. And because of this, they could essentially run the farm into the future without the need for any centralized leadership at all. And we wanted to ensure that it's able to do this in a sustainable method. If it was able to do this, but there still needed to be some centralized figure ensuring that there's BNB in the wallet to pay for the gas for these additional transactions, that could be a fail point where, say, something happens to me and I'm not there to put that BNB in the wallet to have these additional transactions going on in the background. We overcame that by having essentially the platform itself take a percentage of the yield generated on the back end, sell the cake for BNB, send it to the wallet, which is paying for the gas for all those transactions on the platform to happen. This way, no matter what happens to me, the farm will be able to go on. It'll be able to pay for itself and be sustainable, and it will have the incentive for people to continue to promote it and to continue to to be active in it, because they're essentially financially benefiting as an owner of the farm to do this. And people who have seen Drip know how important it is to have a community-led marketing push, and having a referral program and having a decentralized ownership that allows the stakers of the governance token to earn rewards in BUSD based on new capital that comes into the farm ensures that we will have that community-led marketing push.
Community's taking over. Yep, that's right.
So that is how the deposit fees are handled and how they're used in L1, and how we're generating a ton of extra capital on the back end to use for buybacks and for marketing. And when I did the math, looking at what some of the other farms got that have substantially less interesting mechanics than us, and used a similar some of the same marketers that we'll use. The amount of yield that will generate on the back end through this rehypothecation is likely going to be between $70,000 and $150,000 a week, which will go directly towards buying the REV token and removing from circulation and promoting the farm. That means banners on major platforms. That means having some of the major YouTubers that maybe we haven't had access to yet, getting them on board. A lot of things that I'm really looking forward to doing and that I've wanted to do for a long time, but I'm always very, very fair with how I allocate capital and what percentages I take when it comes to paying for marketing and these kinds of things. And I pay for a lot of things out of my own pocket. This project, generating that much yield on the back end to be used for marketing, will allow us to really take advantage of some of the the marketing tools that we didn't have access to before, because we didn't have the sustainable capital to be able to pay for that kind of marketing. So I'm very excited about that, because
it is exciting.
I have connections with some very big YouTubers, BitBoy and Box Miner and a lot of these really big names, because I've worked with them in the past when I was advising some of the really big projects in the space. So I have connections with these YouTubers. I know the people that handle their scheduling and all that. It's just the fact that they cost so much money that you need to have sustainable capital that justifies getting them on board. And I believe with this project, finally we will have that kind of capital. So it's very exciting for me, because I get to even more show, what my network can do and what we can do as a team. So very exciting. Now, the referral program, I already talked about that. It's what I haven't said is a 3% commission based on the capital that the person you refer makes. So if you refer somebody, they make 100 REV tokens. When they harvest that 100 REV tokens, you'll get 3 of them. That's how it works. And the reason why we did it like that is because it ensures that there's no ability to drain capital from the system from doing chain referrals, self-referring yourself a bunch of times, right? Because it's not giving you a bonus based on your deposit, and it's not giving you a bonus based on funds that you can continuously deposit and then remove. So if you were making a referral bonus based on the capital that someone that you refer deposits, then that person could just continuously deposit and withdraw capital, and now you're making a bonus off that. And what I said the first time, if you were making a bonus based on your deposit, then you could self-refer a bunch of times to do that. With this, it's a 3% commission off what they harvest, which means they had to deposit that capital, keep that capital in the system for long enough to make a harvest, and now you're making a commission based on what they harvest. And doing chain referrals or multiple referrals to the same person or self-referring, none of that is beneficial. So that is very important. And this is going to just be another tool that we use for promotion. Now, the Drip partnership, everybody knows that has been paying attention, knows that this is one of the major incentives to even building the project was to partner with Drip to incentivize stablecoin liquidity added to Drip. We have Drip BUSD pools here on the farm. It has no deposit fee to join this pool, and it has one of the highest multipliers on the farms. The reason why we did this is because people who get into Drip are already paying a tax. There's already a transaction tax when you're buying Drip. If you buy it from PancakeSwap, If you buy it from our platform, you can avoid that tax, but you would have had to pay to add liquidity. We have added a contract called the Drip Liberation Contract, which allows you to add liquidity to Drip without paying the tax. But people that have already owned Drip and cannot buy new Drip with BUSD using the Liberation Contract, or people that have Drip liquidity, when you eventually remove that liquidity, there is a tax associated with that. So because there is a tax associated with Drip, we waived the deposit fee involved with Drip, and we gave a high multiplier to the Drip farm, and this is because Drip has a very large, very active community that will bring a ton of capital into the farm and do a ton of promotion for the farm. So we're incentivizing people with a multiplier that makes sense, relative to the amount of capital, the amount of attention that they'll bring to the farm. So this is why Drip is considered a core pool, a core farm pool. And I'll go to the Drip Liberation Contract. The way this works is there's a 10% transaction tax on Drip. Now, if you send BUSD using this front end right here, you'll send Drip BUSD to the contract. The contract then adds Drip BUSD liquidity to PancakeSwap tax-free and sends you the LP tokens. The way it does this is it takes half the BUSD you deposited, uses it to buy Drip on the Drip swap page on drip.community. This way it's buying it without a tax. It then takes the other half of the BUSD, pairs them together, and then sends them using a whitelisted contract to the PancakeSwap liquidity pool. This is how it's able to add liquidity to PancakeSwap without a tax. Then it sends you the LP tokens. You can now transact the LP tokens tax-free. There's no tax on moving LP tokens. So now you can send those LP tokens to the farm and start earning REV tokens. The REV token is the farm reward token for all the pools and all the farms. Now, the REV token, its main utility is to be used as the presale token for L2. But while you're holding the REV token, before the L1 has stopped, you can earn BUSD rewards in the REV single asset pool. And what this allows you to do is secure profit on the farm without the need to sell the REV token. And this allows you to accumulate the REV token. So when we get to the L2 presale, you could use those REV tokens. You can contribute those REV tokens to the L2 presale and get a 20% bonus relative to if you had contributed BUSD. So if you contribute 100 BUSD, you will get 20% more L2 tokens for contributing $100 worth of REV tokens to that presale. So essentially, all of the incentive for L1 is built around accumulating REV tokens. There's multiple different cash flows that are being used to add buy pressure and remove REV tokens from circulation. There's also a max total supply for the REV tokens. That means once the REV tokens stop emitting, there are no more in circulation. All of the REVs that are bought through the yield that is generated on the back end and through the deposit fees are removed from circulation. So because there are multiple cash flows that are used to buy REV and remove it from circulation, and because you can earn BUSD, essentially securing profit on the REV token without needing to sell or dump that REV token, allowing you to accumulate it and use the REV token for the L2 pre-sale, getting a 20% bonus on that pre-sale. Essentially, it lines up all the incentive with buying and accumulating the REV token. And because of this, I expect the REV token to just shoot right out the gate with positive price appreciation and maintain very high positive price appreciation all the way until the launch of L2. At the launch of L2, the L1 token is essentially becomes useless. And I'll explain how that happens in the migration. Everybody that holds the REV token before L1 at the end of before L2 at the end of L1 will get that value migrated over to the L2 tokens. So essentially there's no reason to hold the REV token after the launch of L2. So I expect, and I've seen from other projects. Now, I was saying that when we decided we were going to launch this, what we first did was look at a bunch of other projects that are currently successful right now in the space and what they did, and see if we can attribute any of those functions or utility to our project. There was a project not on Binance Smart Chain, on a different chain, that did a multi-layer system where they used the layer 1 farm reward token as the pre-sale token for L2. They didn't have many of the functions that we have, which will allow us to be even more sustainable and see even greater price appreciation. But even just the fact that they had this layer 1, layer 2 dynamic, their L1 token saw massive price appreciation and didn't see a single major correction for the whole launch of the farm, for that whole layer 1 process. And I expect to see that same that same kind of scenario play out with our L1, but even greater, because what their platform was lacking is they didn't have a pool that paid out BUSD rewards that allowed people to secure profits on the L1 farm token without needing to sell or dump the L1 farm token. This is so key because everybody knows that farms are most farms are higher risk than a lot of other projects, but they have the potential for very high rewards. And the reason why they can be higher risk than other projects is because of the inflationary nature of the farm reward token. Now, the way that we combat this is by allowing people to secure profit on the farm reward token without the need to sell it. This removes that risk and allows them to secure profit on the farm while still being able to accumulate the token. They didn't have this on the project I'm talking about that had multiple layers. They didn't have this aspect, and people were still willing to hold the L1 farm token and accumulate it all the way through the launch without selling it, and not one major correction, because of the dynamic of getting a bonus on the L2, which allows you to become a essentially a power player in L2 at launch and get it at the best possible exchange rate at launch. So we took that dynamic and we added to it, making it more sustainable through adding the ability to secure profit without the need to sell that token, removing that need for sell pressure and allowing people to mitigate their risk, secure profit, and maintain their ownership and their allocation of the farm and the farm reward token. We also are generating additional yield in the background that they were not doing, which is going to be adding hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of buy pressure and additional marketing budget for the project that this other project that had the multi-layer system just didn't have. They were not doing this pre-hypothecation. They didn't have these additional mechanics that are going to the farm. They also took essentially all of the deposit fee. I think they took 75% of the deposit fee and pocketed it as their way of monetizing the platform. We're using 70% of the deposit fee for buybacks and marketing.
Yep.
And the buybacks, marketing, and the maintaining of the platform. 30% for buybacks, 30% for marketing, 10% to pay for the gas of the platform back end stuff. So, due to these mechanics, I expect us to outperform this other project that had a dual layer system, and this other project that had a dual layer system saw massive price appreciation. It didn't see a single correction all the way for their first layer. Now, let me, I guess, go to L2. But if you have any questions,
No, so far it's fine. I think we'll just you just keep going, and then towards the end, then I'll bring up questions from people.
Yeah, we're trying not to interrupt you.
Yeah,
we're gonna let you do your thing. Yeah, for this.
Beautiful, guys. Beautiful. Okay, that's awesome. Yeah. Thank you. So,
no worries.
All right, so I'll keep going. So I'm going to skip the miner right now, even though the miner plays a massive role in the farm and in drip. I'm just going to skip this right now, just because I want to get to the L2 part, because I think it's a smoother explanation to go right from L1 to L2, and then we'll talk about the miner after. So so victory, right? This is after L2. The revolution has been won. It's time to put the REV token to use in the L2 presale. The way this works is the L1 farm lasts for 14 days. At the end of 14 days, we start a 48-hour countdown. At the end of the 48 hours, we remove liquidity from the REV token and take all of the REV tokens that were removed from circulation through the buybacks, and we use them to remove the remaining BUSD from the pool. Then we take the BUSD that we just removed from the REV token, which is the L1 farm reward token, and we migrate it over to L2. 60% of that BUSD is used for rewards in the form of BUSD payouts to people who stake the L2 governance token. The other 40% is used for liquidity in the L2 tokens. Dogs, which is the farm token, and pigs, which is the governance tokens. So all of that capital that is removed from L1 farm reward token REV is migrated. 100% of it is migrated over to L2. People who hold the REV token in this countdown, when liquidity is removed, whatever the price is, when the liquidity is removed from the REV token, is the price that will be honored in the L2 presale. So when you hold the REV token, say you hold one REV token, REV is worth $100 when liquidity is removed. That means on the L2 presale, if you use one REV token, you're going to get 20% more tokens than someone that went into the L2 presale with 100 BUSD tokens. See what I'm saying? Because we're honoring that one REV token equals 100 BUSD, plus you're getting a 20% bonus on top of that. So, this is what I mean when I say that the L1 token is an extended, or the L1 platform is an extended launchpad for L2, and L2 is when the serious dynamics and the real groundbreaking stuff comes into play. So people who get into the L1 presale, you're going to get REV tokens. You can then take those REV tokens, come to the farm here, and stake them with BUSD or WBNB, wrapped BNB. You can then start to earn REV tokens. You can take your BUSD, send it to the drip liberation contract, earn drip BUSD LP tokens tax-free, throw them in the farm tax-free, and start earning REV tokens. You can now take those REV tokens. Oh, also, you can get into all these other farms, all these other pools, and you're going to make a higher APY or higher APR, however you want to say it, off of these tokens than you would in any other farm in the space. So if you're farming with BUSD, DAI, or BTCB, ETH, whatever your pair is on another farm, you should greatly consider migrating it over to our farm and getting a greater APR and an APR that will remain sustainable and be able to not only pay out these REV tokens at a high rate, but the REV token itself will maintain a high value, which is important. Some of these other farms are promoting a very high APY, but if the value of your token is depreciating, the high APY doesn't really matter too much. So you can get into these, start earning REV tokens, take the REV tokens, come to pools, put them in the REV single asset, start earning BUSD, and accumulating REV tokens. All the REV tokens you earn, you can either take them. A higher risk play would be take the REV tokens you earn, pair them with more BUSD and more REV WBNB, and this will allow you to get a greater stake of these farms, earn more REV tokens, and essentially have more REV tokens that you can then pair with more BUSD or more RAPBNB, or bring over here and throw in the single asset pool to start earning BUSD. Now you're stacking up your REV tokens, the price of REV is going up, and you're earning BUSD, a fairly large amount of BUSD. Every single block, you're getting more BUSD added to your rewards. Now, the farm is over. The L1 farm is over. It's been 14 days. The mission stop. There's a 48-hour countdown. Say the price of REV is $100. Liquidity is removed at the end of the 48-hour countdown. All of that liquidity that is removed is then migrated over to L2. The REV tokens that you hold can now be used in the L2 presale for a 20% bonus. And I should say that the amount of L2 tokens that are allocated for the REV pool is significantly higher than the BUSD pool. So not only will you be able to get a higher exchange rate, you're also guaranteed a position in the L2 presale. Whereas if you get it with BUSD, there's only a set amount of BUSD we're raising in L2. So there's a chance that you won't be able to get into the L2 presale if you try to get it with BUSD. If you get it with the REV token, you're guaranteed a spot in L2. And the way we're able to guarantee a spot in L2 is because that liquidity and that capital is just being migrated over. So it's not new capital that we're having to raise that could then be dumped at listing or something like that. So so this is the way that the migration is taking place. Now, like I said, there's the dog and the pigs token. You get both of them for getting into the presale. The dog's token is the farm token, and the pigs token is the governance token. Those who stake the pigs token are now the new owners of the farm, and now you get your share of all of the funds that are deposited into the farm in the form of BUSD rewards and other forms of cash flow paid out in BUSD that I'll explain lower. And this is a pivotal point in the theming of the farm and the theming of the book, The Animal Farm, because after the animals have their revolution and they take ownership of the farm, a new power dynamic comes into play, where the pigs are essentially the smartest creatures on the farm. So they're able to establish themselves as the new owners. And they raise these puppies from birth to essentially be their workers. So the new dynamic now is the power. The power is in the hands of the dogs and the pigs. The pigs are the owners, the dogs are the enforcers and the workers, and the sheep are essentially those who go along with all of the propaganda. And in our analysis of the theming, the sheep would be the people that believe in the traditional market and the current fiat system that is the global power right now. So this is the way that we went with the theming, and this is why the
genius,
new thank you. And this is why the new slogan or the new rule for L2 is all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. And this is a famous quote from the Animal Farm. And you see here, we have pigs wearing like top hats and suits when the rule from the start was no animals wear clothes, So it's just the symbolism of the way that that power is transferred, and the way that essentially oftentimes it's not the people who are playing the ownership role, it's the system and the power dynamic itself that is having the effects that people see on the market, as far as the ability for people to manipulate markets and these things. And in the book, essentially, the pigs end up becoming the new owners of the farm, and they now reap the benefit of the farm. Now, with L2, the pigs do earn the deposit fees, and they do earn the B with D that is accumulated through the tax that is charged on the dog token when dog is swapped. But I do think the novel Animal Farm was it had a lot of theming that speaks directly to our project, but it was also a criticism of Stalinism and the Cold War style socialism, and that aspect of the Animal Farm really is not relevant to our project, because crypto, well, I say specifically DeFi and specifically these kinds of projects are capitalism in its highest form, essentially, right? It's like very little regulation, pure open markets. So the some of the downsides that we saw with the theming of Animal Farm and the Stalinism theme doesn't apply, and essentially we have the all of the positives of the feeling of shared ownership, the feeling of pride of the system that allowed for the increase of yield on the farm, without the downside of Stalinism and some of the political mechanics that were at play in the Animal Farm book. Right, we don't have any of those political dynamics in our system. Our system is essentially a pure capitalistic system that allows for decentralized ownership. Essentially a type of co-op system where the owners of the farm are the stakers of the farm. And it essentially has all the positives of a co-op type system without the negative, political dynamics that we would see in, if someone tried to launch something like this outside of the crypto space, or just in the theming of the Animal Farm book and these other themings. But essentially, there is the dogs and the pigs token. The dog token has a 6% tax on transacting. 3% of that tax is taken as BUSD and sent to the pigs governance reward pool. 3% of it is paired with dogs and added to the dogs BUSD liquidity pool, which is adding a further decentralized liquidity pool that is deeper, has more BUSD on the bid side, which allows for greater price appreciation and sets a higher potential price floor. And every time someone swaps the dogs token, the potential price floor that the price could hit of the dogs token gets higher and higher and higher with each swap. Now, there's an additional tax on selling, and this tax is burned. So that dog token is completely removed from circulation, sent to a 0x00000 wallet. Can never be recovered. And the reason why this is so important is because we have a dynamic emission rate that allows for the supply to be adjusted, and it adjusts supply based on the current demand for the token. And when the demand is high and not many people are selling, that additional tax is not being placed on the transacting. And that's great because you don't want a high tax on transacting. You want people to be able to transact with the lowest possible tax possible. But when there's a lot of selling and the demand is lower, the decentralized dynamic supply control algorithm realizes the demand is lower, reduces the supply through cutting emissions, and now, since there's more selling going on, there's an additional tax, which is burning more tokens, which is removing more tokens from circulation, and the dogs token goes from an inflationary farm reward token to a deflationary farm reward token that acts as the on-ramp for ownership. And the reason why I say it acts as the on-ramp for ownership is because the only way to get the pigs token through farming is through farming it with the dogs BUSD, dogs BNB, and dogs single asset pool, and also the drip BUSD pool. So essentially, the dogs token acts as the farm token, and essentially, you need a token that incentivizes people to join the farms and acts as a trading vehicle to add liquidity that allows people to get in and out and trade the farm. And it also acts as the on-ramp for the governance token. Because after the pre-sale, the only way to get the pigs governance token is either to farm it with the core farms or to buy it directly off the market. Now, 75% of all the deposit fees that get deposited into L2 get converted to BUSD and sent to the pigs single asset staking pool. 15% of the funds that are deposited go to marketing, and 10% go to platform fees. They're essentially they pay for the platform cost, the way I was saying, because L2 also is generating yield on the back end through PancakeSwap. So so essentially, well, not essentially, literally 100% of the funds that are deposited in L2, the deposit fee that is taken from them, 100% of that deposit fee goes towards either rewards for the pig single asset, or marketing the platform, or just platform costs. So there's no dev fee at all or development fee at all that's being collected from the deposit fees on L2. And this is what I mean by it's a 100% transfer of ownership to the new owners of the farm, which are the farmers. There are the people that are staked in the pigs token. None of the deposit fee goes to development.
Yeah.
Now we have all of the capital that is staked, like I was saying earlier, is instead of just sitting in the farm contract, the mastership contract, like what all the other farms are doing, we are rehypothecating this collateral to earn an additional about 30% yield in the back end that's used for buybacks, used for marketing, used for development and platform costs. And essentially all of this, like on L1, is additional capital that is being earned that otherwise would not be earned, and is allowing for the sustainability of the platform with or without the leadership of me as a centralized developer. I could go away, and there's still all of the costs associated with gas and everything to run the platform is still operational. The deposit fees are going towards the governance stakers, so they have incentive to promote the platform and get new capital in it, and even in the future, vote on proposals for additional development. Now, I'll get into that at the end because we're doing the governance voting in a very specific way that I guess I'll get into after I describe this. But essentially, actually, no, let me get right into it right now. Essentially, the way that we're doing it is so a lot of times if you allow people to vote on proposals, or you allow people to make anybody to make a proposal and then allow people to vote on the proposal, often what happens is people will make proposals and vote on whatever proposal will make the most short-term gains, you know regardless of what that will do for the sustainability of the project.
Right.
And because of this, the way that we're handling our governance model is myself and my partners work with the community and allow them to suggest different functionalities and different ways we could go as far as development with the project for an additional L3 layer, and either through submission from the community or through something that maybe I think of an amazing new idea that could be developed for an L3. I'll pitch it to the community. If they seem like they're on board for it, then I can make a proposal, and the people who have the pigs governance token staked can then vote on the proposal. So there's still some leadership to kind of steer the boat to ensure that whatever proposals are made, they're proposals that will be sustainable and not only benefit the people that are in it after the proposal goes past, but people who were in the platform, from the start, from before the proposal was made. So we're doing that, and it's essentially it's a lot like a democratic republic, right? Where you have an ability for people to have their say, but you still have some leadership role to ensure that the proposals made are sustainable. And I would say, we see how most governments handle this kind of thing. It's not well, but people can look at my track record and my projects and can see that any kind of proposal and development that's been made has performed extremely well and has been sustainable. And essentially, it what it does is it just allows people to have a bit more say, because if someone if we didn't have this government's voting model and we just had it the way it's running now, it would work in basically the same way, where either a lot of people from the community would be asking for something, and then I would see, is it sustainable? Does it make sense? If it makes sense, then I'll deliver. Or if I come up with something that seems amazing, I'll pitch it to the community. If everybody seems on board with it, then I'll deliver. In this case, it's basically the same thing. It's just an additional step where people who have the governance token of L2 have a final say on whether the proposals go through or not, which I think is great, because it allows for some central leadership to ensure that it's sustainable and it makes sense and it's not just short-term gains. But people still, we still get to use like the intelligence of the crowd, and people that are investors have their say. And I think that's important if you're going to have a platform that is designed to have additional development added to it in the form of core contracts. If you're going to have that, you want the community to have their say.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, this next part that I'm showing here is referring to our dynamic emission rates. And you see, if you look here, if you look at the chart that I'm sharing, wait a second, I have someone calling me.
Yeah, you're right.
Can you hear that?
No.
Okay, fine. I'll ignore it then. So I don't. If I switch screens, then I'm gonna end up doxing my Discord.
Yeah.
So I'll just ignore it, and I'll call it back when I get off.
Yeah.
So
no worries.
You see here on the chart on the left, it's emission rate versus price, and what this does is it's showing how the farm contract that is emitting the dog and the pigs token looks at the current demand for the project along with the price of the project to determine the emission rate at which it's releasing dog and pig tokens. Now, we wanted to ensure that it would always be within a range that is, one, sustainable and at the high end, and two, still is enough incentive to get people to join the farm at the low end. So what we did is we looked at all the other farms and all the other projects similar to this with an emission rate, and looked at what their emission rates were and if they were sustainable for them. And we ended up deciding that a project called Thorium, which really is a very basic farm on BSC, nothing really special about it, has shown to be a sustainable project, or has shown to be sustainable as far as price. And I would say the two things that they have going behind it is they've been fairly good with marketing, and they have a great emission rate that is a sustainable emission rate, meaning it inflates at a rate that is sustainable, that allows for price appreciation. So what we did was we used Thorium's emission rate as a peg. And if price is at all-time high and the demand is at all-time high, we have our emission rate of our L2 tokens 25% higher than Thorium, which is slightly higher than Thorium, which will be sustainable, because we have all of the mechanics Thorium has plus a lot more, right? We have the L1 to L2 migration. We have the governance model. We have the additional tax, the tax on transactions, the additional tax on selling. We have, the way you need to stake the dogs to earn the pigs tokens. We have the BUS reward governance model for the pigs token. All this stuff Thorium doesn't have, right? Yeah. We also have this dynamic emission rate, which is another major thing that Thorium doesn't have. But at 100% emission rate, when we're at all-time high or demand at all-time high, we're at 100% emission rate, which is 25% over Thorium. If our price does a 25% or greater correction from all-time high, between all-time high and all-time low, then the emission rate will adjust to be the same emission rate as Thorium. So this means if our prices just kind of ranging between all-time high and a 50% correction will be at the same emission rate as thorium, which is proven to be sustainable without all the other functionality that we added that adds a ton more buy pressure, reduces a ton of the sell pressure, and is removing tokens from circulation in ways that they're not. So reducing to be at their emission rate then allows the current demand that the price is at to now have a positive price impact. So now the price goes back up, we make all-time highs again, and the emission rate goes back to 100% emission rate. And you can see that if you look at the chart on the white paper here that circulating, for the first 3 periods, the price is making all-time highs and the emission rate is at 100. The price does a 25% correction, the emission rate reduces by 25%. The price goes back to break all-time highs again, and the emission rate shoots back up to 100%, which is 25% over thorium. It can never go higher than that. We needed to set this range to make sure it's sustainable. Right. Now the price does a 50% correction. Now the emission rate will do now the emission rate will adjust to restrict the supply by 50%. Now, because we have the additional tax on selling, which I showed here, and because the supply is reducing, what this does now is starts removing tokens from circulation at a greater rate than they're being emitted. And now we have a token that allows you to receive rewards in BUSD for staking it without the need for selling it. That's also a deflationary token. And due to those dynamics and the fact that we have that yield in the background that is buying back and the deposit fees that are going to buying back and removing tokens from circulation, we now have more buy pressure than sell pressure. The demand picks back up. We're a deflationary token, and it allows the price to appreciate. And when the price appreciates, the emission rate will then readjust to adjust accordingly to meet this demand, to now allow the rewards in the farm to be increased as the emission rate increases, to now have additional incentive for those people that are now buying the token, because now due to the lower emission rate and the other mechanics I talked about, that adds more buying pressure, right? That buying pressure allows the emission rate to adjust, increasing the APY of the farms, and now incentivizes those people that newly bought the tokens to add them to the farm. And this removes more tokens from circulation and allows the price to appreciate, allowing the emission rate to appreciate. And the emission rate moves in 25% increments. 25% at a time. It starts out at 100% emission rate. It can reduce down to a 25% emission rate. When it's at a 25% emission rate, this is half the emission rate of thorium. Thorium has proven that at its current emission rate, does have sustainable price appreciation. So at a 50% emission rate of thorium, we should see aggressive price appreciation, which then allows the price, as the price appreciates and the demand goes back up, allows the emission rate to go back up, and now the rewards to go back up, which now incentivizes all those people that are buying the token to sticking them in the farm. And this kind of dynamic ensures that you're not only going to see rewards in the form of APY and in the form of yield from the platform, you're also going to see profits in the form of price appreciation. And we all know from holding drip that the price of a token could be stable, or it could even be depreciating, but it could still be a profitable project because the yield you're generating from it makes up for that. Yeah. But if it's always best, and I've learned this through experience, that it's always best to get as much of the profit made by investors as possible through price appreciation. And the reason for this is because there's no greater form of marketing promotion than positive price appreciation and all-time highs. When prices making new all-time highs, when we're seeing price appreciation, people are excited, people want to tell people, and it has a viral effect. So we designed this platform to put price appreciation over everything. And we ensure that the rewards that are made on the farm are always high enough to incentivize people to add to the farm, and always always make it so it's always a better ideal for you to stake the tokens in the farm than just to hold them. You're always going to see a greater profit through doing that, but the majority of the profit, or maybe not the majority, but a significant amount of the profit earned is through price appreciation. And I've learned that directly through experience, through creating projects that create a ton of profit for their investors and for their stakers, but a lot of that profit is in the form of yield generated, not price appreciation.
Right.
And I realized if it's possible to design a system through, so you're getting that same profit, but there's a way to kind of shift that profit so it's coming in the form of price appreciation instead of yield. It's better for marketing and promoting. So that's the angle that I took here, and that's what this decentralized dynamic supply control algorithm allows us to do automatically. We're not manually adjusting these rates. It's happening on chain through essentially our contract is just looking at current price data every time someone does a swap, and that's how it's getting its all-time high and all-time low. And all right, so how I came up with this concept is there was a project that had something that was somewhat similar. It didn't have all the other aspects. It didn't have a governance system. It didn't have multiple layers. It didn't have a dynamic tax on the tokens. It didn't have BUSD rewards. It didn't have any of these things. What it did have was an adjustable emission rate dependent on the price of the token. But the way that they did it was they picked a high and a low price that they just picked as a window from launch. And their high was $100 and their low was $0. And based on where their price was between 0 and 100 would determine their emission rate. What happened was, because this worked out so well for them, the price pumped all the way until it broke $100 and went above their expected window. And when that happens, it threw everything out of whack. So they had to try to relaunch essentially like a Band-Aid contract, which expanded the window. And when they expanded the window, it changed the emission rate, because now they're not in the same ratio between high and low as they were before they changed it. And it, it immediately changed the emission rate by a ton, and it kind of caused a spiral that ended up hurting their project. So what I did was I looked at, all right, this was extremely successful. This was an extremely successful dynamic that, if implemented correctly, does wonders for price appreciation. And speaking specifically to this profit coming in the form of APY versus profit coming in the form of price appreciation, and adjusting the two to ensure that you're always seeing optimal profits, but the profit is coming in what is going to be the most marketable, which is price appreciation, right? So
yeah.
And what I did, and what I determined, what shot out to me the way to handle this, is have the contract determine its own window and have this window be dynamic, and use the all-time high and all-time low as this window. This way, right from launch, the project immediately starts out with 100% emission rate, and then as it develops and as it as it starts having buyers come in and it starts having its price action, it then sets up its window dynamically so it can never go outside of this window and cause the issues that this other project I was referring to had.
Yeah.
So we see all the benefits that they had without adopting that downside, that overlook that they had. And not only are we doing it in a much better way because we're not putting in that window that limits us, and once it goes outside that window it causes issues. It's also just a better way of doing it because it allows it to be extremely dynamic. So that's what I'm saying when I said that before I launched this project, I looked at what a bunch of other farms and projects like this were doing. I looked at what worked for them, what didn't work for them, what I could incorporate, what I couldn't incorporate, and I took the best aspects of like 5 other projects. I took what worked about them, I improved on that, and then I added them into one project in a way that they all positively compound on each other. So, and I believe doing this is designed to be the highest price appreciating and the most sustainable farm of all time. And just to sum it up in like one or two sentences, why this is, it's because it has the ability to set an emission rate and control the supply depending on the current demand for the project in a way that allows for maximal price appreciation given the current demand, while allowing for maximal APY in the farm given the current demand. And the system allows you to secure profit on the farm, both in L1 and L2, in the form of BUSD, without the need to sell the farm, without the need to sell the farm tokens, allowing you to accumulate a larger ownership position in L2 and a larger ownership of REV token in L1, which in turn allows you to get into the L2 presale at the best possible exchange rate, at the highest possible allocation size, and get you in there immediately at launch to be a power player and a majority owner right from the launch of L2. And the reason why it's so important to be in L2 immediately at launch is because all farms, no matter what, have a massive wave of TVL at the start, at launch.
Yeah.
You're going to see that first big wave. And people who are staking the PIG token in the governance pool are going to get their share of that huge initial TVL wave in the form of BUSD. So For farms, there's a 4% tax. For pools, there's a 6% tax. So essentially, 4 to 6% of all that BUSD that is added to the TVL is being allocated to rewards in the form of BUSD and marketing, with 75% of that being allocated to marketing. So let's say that we get, I don't want to limit us, right? So let's say we get $1 billion TVL, right?
Yeah.
Now that is 40 million. 4% of $1 billion is 40 million, I believe. So so it would be 75% of 40 million, which is 30 million. That all right. So I'm just throwing numbers out there because I don't want to say a small number and limit us, right? So I'd rather throw an extra big number than a small number, just for people's minds, you know. So so if we got $1 billion TVL, that is going to be $30 million worth of BUSD that is paid out directly to people in the pig staking pool.
Wow.
So, you know, say we make 100 million TVL, which is, I mean, that's reasonable. But say we make 100 million TVL in the first week, say, right? Because the marketers that I'm working with and looking at their past performance in projects that are, you know, inferior to ours, they're making 40-50 million TVL in the first day. So say we hit 100 mil TVL in the first week, that's $4 million BUSD paid out in the first week to people in the governance staking pool in BUSD. Right. That's not including the taxes that are paid in the dog token. Now, we know when tokens list, there's always that big rush of capital to come into them, right?
Spike, yeah.
About 6% of that is also going to the pigs staking pool. That's going to be millions of dollars in transacted volume, you know, potentially hundreds of millions of dollars, very likely hundreds of millions of dollars in trading volume of the dog's token. So, yeah, that's like, you know, very, very reasonable numbers, I could say, is, you know, $8 to $10 million worth of BUSD paid out in the first week to people that are in the pig staking pool, and a large portion of that will be people that are in there in the first day.
Right.
So, and in the first half an hour specifically, because in that first half an hour before the emissions start, everybody that knows about the farm, from the marketing of the pre-sale and all that stuff, all that initial capital is going to be coming on. So that's millions of dollars paid out. So so I kind of got off track with my couple sentences explanation of why we're going to be more sustainable, but it was just because I wanted to say that this is the only project that allows you to secure profits in BUSD without needing to sell the token. But I wanted to explain just how much BUSD it's going to be. It's not some small amount. It's millions and millions of dollars worth of BUSD paid out in this pool. So so this is it's the only farm that has the ability to adjust its emission rate based on demand, become a deflationary token when demand is lower, allows you to secure profit on the farm without needing to sell the token, allowing you to accumulate a greater position in dogs and pigs. The dogs token is what you use in the core farms to farm the pigs tokens, and the pigs token is what you use to stake in the governance pool to earn those BUSD rewards. So you accumulate dogs tokens to use them to farm the pigs, and the pigs is what you're using to secure profit on the farm. You'll also have a governance model that allows you to vote for proposals in L2. You're also getting a portion of the taxed the tax on dog tokens. The dog token has a mechanic where it's taking a percentage of each trade and is adding that to the liquidity pool, which is deepening and decentralizing the liquidity pool, adding more BUSD to the bid side, and increasing the potential price floor of dogs, especially when you consider when dogs is deflationary, that it is greatly increasing the potential price floor, which means if all the dogs were sold, there would still be a price for dogs at a certain rate. Those BUSDs that liquidity couldn't be removed from the farm. It's essentially being locked in on each transaction. This is by nature the fact that we are incentivizing liquidity adding. The liquidity pools are decentralized and locked. On L2, we have a harvest claiming period, which is adjustable. So essentially, the core farms have a 4-hour harvest period. So essentially, you have to have your you can only harvest every 4 hours, essentially. And this is a security measure and also a sustainability measure. It's a security measure because it prevents people from doing flash load attacks, where they could take a flash load, deposit a very large amount into the farm, and then claim those rewards instantly and dump them, and then pay back the flash load. In this case, there's a waiting period of a few hours, so those kind of flash load and other exploits are not possible on our farm. So as far as security goes, we're extremely secure. We are. Let me just go to L1 here. If I go to the farms, you'll see that we have a REV POO, and this is POO Coin. And the reason why we have a POO Coin pool is because if you go to the POO Coin website, you'll see that on the right-hand side, they have a list of projects, which is the projects that essentially they promote. And you'll see Thorium is at the top of the list, and Thorium is always at the top of the list. So I did some research, and it took some deep research to figure out how they determine what they're going to promote on that list. And the way they determine it is the size of the liquidity pool of that token with POO. So, so if we have a liquidity pool, if REV token is paired with POO Coin, and we have liquidity in there, this is going to determine how high we up on this promotion list. And I don't think people know that this is how the promotion is handled, because I don't see anybody else exploiting this except for Thorium. But because of that, we are going to be within the top 3 on this list getting promoted on POO Coin, just because we have this farm. So these are some of the guerrilla marketing tactics that we're able to exploit just for having a better knowledge of the space. This isn't any additional capital that we're spending for marketing. This is just, we know how these systems work and we know how to exploit them. Now, the way that I discovered this was a project got taken down from the list, and it was because it turned out to be a scam. And then I found essentially a newsletter or a Medium article that POO Coin released, saying that token was on its promotional list because it had a deep liquidity pool with the POO token, and that was how it ended up on the promotion list, not because they specifically were supported by the POO project, just that the ranking is determined by that. And so I ended up, in my research of figure out ways we could market that, I ended up coming upon that article and realizing we can exploit that by having a farm with the POO Coin. As much as I hate the name of that token and having to say it over and over again, it's like the least professional thing ever. But you know, you gotta do what you gotta do to get marketing right. So
yeah, that's true. I've always wondered about that stupid name.
Well, it's the same as another farm, another project. Cub Rocket, right? That's it's like a ridiculous name.
It blew up. Yeah.
But yeah, same as POO Coin, right? It's the name that gets people talking about them. And
yeah, true.
It's a major marketing thing, but I think it's a gift and a curse, because what it does is it allows you to get a ton of cheap promotion. It allows you to blow up, get a ton of exposure, but it also limits your high-end growth potential of getting adoption by any like major institutions or anything like that.
Yeah.
So it's a gift and a curse, but I wouldn't go with it. I think there's better ways, to go about getting marketing.
Sure.
But I'm willing to add their farm to their liquidity pool to our farm, because it's going to get us on the list. On high up on a list, on a site that gets a ton of traffic without having the need to spend any like out of pocket marketing capital. So it's important. So I think we should talk about the miner real quick.
Actually, someone just asked about that.
A couple people.
I should say just before we wrap up the talk of the farm, though, you can get into the private pre-sale. The private pre-sale is in 2 days. Tomorrow we're going to announce the whitelisting for the private pre-sale is in 2 days. We're doing the raise the following day. You need to be in the REP DAO group to get access to the private pre-sale. The way you get into the DRIP DAO group is by buying 300 REP and following the links to the links, which will bring you to a private Telegram group. Essentially, you buy 300 REP. There's a 2% tax, so you need to buy a little bit more to account for slippage and tax. That tax goes to a reflective reward and deflation, a burn essentially. So that's no developer tax or anything like that. That tax is going directly to rewarding holders. So, but you want to buy a little bit more. I think some people bought 306 and still had like 0.00012 less because of price impact. Buy like 315 or something just to be on the safe side, and either go to the Manor DAO Telegram group, or the Manor Farm Telegram group or Drip Telegram group, or go to the Manor.farm, go to documentations, go to the white paper, go to the very end, and it will show you instructions. It will give you a link. The Telegram link will take you to a website where you connect your wallet. And essentially, when you connect your wallet, it just looks to see if you have 300 REP. If you have 300 REP, it gives you a link to the private Telegram group. When you join the private Telegram group, you now have access to the private pre-sale, as well as information about what I'm trading, why I'm trading, and also access to some bots. Some not specifically trading bots, but analytic bots. Bots that give you information about newly deployed contracts. And not like other bots that just tell you newly listed tokens. These bots tell you not only what's newly listed, but what was newly deployed. So you can do research on these projects before they're even listed. And a lot of times this has gotten me into pre-sales before the token was listed. And it's got me knowledge about projects in advance of them listing. So I'm ready to snipe it right when it lists.
Nice.
And I'm prepared instead of other bots that I see that tell you what's listed, because then you're finding out about it after it's listed, and then you have to do your research. And by the time you buy it, it might have taken off already, right? So there's all kinds of benefits to joining the DAO. I would say the primary benefit is the access to private pre-sales of all the projects that I have pre-sale for as far as my own projects, as well as access to private pre-sales for some of the developers that I've worked with and partnered with in the past. And we've done, since I started my Discord server, dozens and dozens and dozens of pre-sales. We've raised hundreds of millions of dollars. People can go into the Discord and see all of it's public. We have channels for every individual raise. All the details are there, so people can go there and join. If you don't have the capital to join this, or you are just want to take your chances with the public sale, you could do that. We're going to have a public sale on the website, as well as a public sale in some of the promotional groups we work with. The public, so it's 2 public sales. Public sale 1 will be a small public sale of 150K with the promotional groups we work with, and each group is just going to get about 20,000 BUSD allocated to it, which we'll have to share with the whole group. And then the public sale on the website is a 500K raise that we do that anybody could join. The major part of the announcement that of the 150K raise that I'm going to be putting in the announcement tomorrow is, in order to be whitelisted for this 150K raise, you have to have newly staked drip in the faucet. So after we make the announcement, you will have to have added at least 10 drip to the faucet after the announcement was made. If you have added 10 drip to the faucet, you will be whitelisted. So essentially, how the whitelisting will go is, we're going to make the announcement tomorrow. People can then buy 10 drip, stake it in the faucet after the announcement was made, and then we're going to go to the groups that we're going to have the public pre-sale raise in, the 150K one, and we're going to give a Google Sheet out in the group, and this Google Sheet will require people to give their Telegram name, say how much they want to contribute to the sale. They'll have to join the Manor Farm Telegram group, which is the Animal Farm, and they will have to own 10 drip in the faucet that was newly bought after the announcement was made, and newly staked after the announcement was made. If they do this, then when it comes time for them to contribute, the contract will allow them to send in the BUSD. If they did not submit the information, if they didn't submit their Telegram name, how much they want to contribute, and they're not in the Animal Farm Telegram group, when they send their BUSD, the contract will then look and see, do they have 10 drip that was recently staked in the faucet? Are they in the Telegram group? If so, allow the transaction to go through. And the transaction goes through. Because essentially, all right, so one more piece of information, a wallet. So they have to give their Telegram name, a wallet associated with this Telegram name. The Telegram has to be a member of the Animal Farm Telegram group. And then, so what it does is, when it's time for them to send in the BUSD, if they filled out the Google form and they met those requirements, their address will be whitelisted. And when they send in the BUSD, the contract looks to see if they have the drip in the faucet, and if it was newly staked. If it was, it allows the transaction to go through, and then they get into the public sale. So I would say for the group public sale, that's going to be handled within the group that you're in. There's going to be a ton more information released in that group, and I'm going to have an individual AMA with every group leader to get everybody prepared for it, just like I did with Drip. So if you're listening to this now, if you're part of one of those groups. More information to come about that in the following day, tomorrow, the next day. Now the public pre-sale is taking place on the website. This is going to be marketed heavily with Rug Doc and Paladin and several banners. And the way I was talking about, we're going to be marketing this public pre-sale. So it's mainly focused to people outside of the drip community and outside of the community that we're working with, like on a daily basis, to try to bring a lot of new eyes in. And this is going to take place on the website. So it's going to be like, essentially any other pre-sale that takes place on a website. The front end will go live. People can send in a specific amount of BUSD, and they get the REV tokens until they're sold out. Once they're sold out, we then take that liquidity, add it to PancakeSwap. The project goes live, and then emissions start a half an hour later. So, yeah.
So you're confirming the caps tomorrow, like what the maximum will be for you?
Yeah, I have a good idea of what the cap's going to be, but I just want to, since we decided that we're going to be doing this public group sale, I just want to go over the math one more time before I announce it. But I'll be announcing it tomorrow on the calls channel. And forwarding it all around. So, so that's that. Do you guys have any questions about L1, L2, the pre-sale, the drip liberation contract, any of that before I get into the mining?
Based on the comments everybody's about it, I mean, it's pretty intense. You're making me cry, man. There's a lot of stuff going on, but by the time you hit layer 2, even like layer 3, you're building on a strong foundation. It's getting stronger and stronger. So, I mean, by the time we hit L3, imagine able to, you know what I'm saying? Like,
you're breaking up. You're breaking up quite a bit, but I can hear. I heard the majority of what you said, and
cool.
and so everybody knows we're building this for L2 to be sustainable, and there's a high probability that L1, no matter what, is going to last 14 days. Then we migrate over to L2. There's a high probability that L2 is just going to run perfectly, and there's going to be no need to do any kind of additional layer. We don't plan to do any additional L3 layer for months anyways, because we want to be some significant new development and some significant innovation to happen in the space to make it worthwhile to make a new layer on the farm. But there's a high probability that the farm's going to work so well with the current dynamics and the current mechanics of the farm that that L2 will just be perfect, and there'll be nothing we want to change at all about it, and it ends up being the largest, most sustainable, like highest volume farm on BSC or in crypto period. And that's what we're aiming for. We're not aiming for something that needs to be updated. We're aiming for something that is the best possible product we can put out now. And because of that, I don't expect the need to do a layer 3 for any time in the near future. We wanted to just leave the door open so when there is a major new innovation in the space, we can evolve with it, and the farm doesn't become like irrelevant. So, all right. So, I'll get into the miner now.
Yeah.
If you have no questions, okay. The drip BUSD miner is a fairly simple contract. People have been asking, and if you look at the drip white paper, you'll even see from the start before we launched drip that we had plans to do a higher risk, higher reward contract for drip staking. Now, of course, whenever I do something, I always do it with the intention of being sustainable. So we came into this with the model of we want to create something that has proven to be sustainable, but is a higher risk, higher reward model than the current contracts that we have for drip, which is the reservoir and the faucet. The faucet pays out a 1% daily ROI and has all of the mechanics, the team building mechanics, all of the tax and sustainability mechanics involved with drip. The reservoir is our drip LP contract, and that incentivizes and rewards people with time-weighted rewards. We're the first project to have a contract or a liquidity pool for our own custom decks that does time-weighted rewards. This is for B&B. We wanted an incentive for drip BUSD rewards so we could have further stability in the drip price as far as our ability to decouple from the rest of the market. And we wanted to be able to do it in a way that does not involve inflating the supply of drip. So when we saw these drip mining games were becoming more and more popular in the space, and I started getting a ton of demand to build it, it fit the ideal project or the ideal concept to have a higher risk, higher reward game.
Yeah.
And the way it works essentially is, let me go to the website. So essentially, you take your drip BUSD LP tokens from PancakeSwap. You get them from going to the drip liberation contract. The drip liberation contract is right above it. You send BUSD here. It sends you drip BUSD LP tokens, tax free. You can then send them to the miner contract. And what the miner contract then does, it's a game where essentially you could set up a strategy, and what you're trying to do is get a greater stake of the miners in the mine than anybody else in the farm, and you're essentially setting up a strategy of buying miners versus removing and cashing out drip BUSD LP from the contract. That ideally, if you have a good strategy, will allow you to remove more drip BUSD LP tokens than you put into it. And none of these drip BUSD LP tokens are coming from some additional source. There's no minting of extra tokens. There's no inflation in drip. It's essentially a type of gambling contract where people put in the drip BUSD LP token and then essentially play a game of chicken with each other to see who's going to continue to compound versus who's going to decide they're going to start taking profit, and what percentage you're going to compound versus what percentage you're going to take profit. And it pays out, unlike like Hourglass games and these other games which have essentially people put in funds. It has a super high APY, and then it quickly drains, and then once it drains, it's empty. The miner game doesn't do that. Essentially, the miner game gives you a range of daily ROI that maxes out at 3% daily ROI, and this percentage is based on how many miners you're hiring relative to how many miners your competition are hiring relative to the consistency and volume at which you're cashing out. And all of this together determines what your percentage ROI is. And there's various strategies you can use to get your percentage higher, but getting your percentage higher often means your you're cashing out less, which is a bigger risk, but will result in a higher return. So it's like I said, it's this crypto game of chicken, which is more sustainable than other models such as Hourglass because it doesn't trade. It just adjusts the daily ROI.
Beautiful.
So I feel like this is exactly the kind of high risk, high reward contract that the people asked for, that we had in the roadmap, that is high risk, high reward, but has the the integrity, the kind of moral values that I could get behind, because it's not a system that drains. Everybody that gets into it will be able to receive some return over the period of time that they're in there, and it really has to do with the strategy at which you're hiring miners versus the other variables that I talked about. So I'm the type of person that if the majority of the community wants something and they know what they're getting into, and I have the ability to put forth all of the instructions and everything, in front of them, so everybody knows what they're getting into, and the model has shown to be sustainable in other scenarios in the space. For example, BNB Miner has been out for something like 8 months now. It's still growing. It's still paying out at just as good as a rate, and it's always as it always had, and it's continuing to grow. And the person who launched that was just a random add-on dev that, as far as I know, it was his first project. He didn't market it. He didn't do anything. So it's just the mechanics of the game are very sticky. They really draw people in. I feel like with our community, with our teams that we've built, and with the intelligence of our group, people in our community, we know how to use these contracts. We should outperform all of and be more sustainable than all these other mining contracts are. And as far as I can see, they've been sustainable. So, I'm excited about this. It's going to bring a ton of positive price impact to Drip, because although you can add Drip BUSD liquidity to PancakeSwap, the way to do it tax-free is through the Drip Liberation contract, and you can only do that with new BUSD. You have to send BUSD to the contract, which means new capital coming into Drip. And not only is this new capital coming to Drip, it's also capital that's coming into Drip to add liquidity to PancakeSwap. And all of the analytic and marketing platforms, CoinMarketCap, DappRadar, all of them are pulling their trade data and their analytic data about projects from PancakeSwap. Now, we have a limited amount of liquidity on PancakeSwap, and because of this, people are not extremely active on PancakeSwap. People are essentially just using it to make arbitrage trades and take advantage of the difference in prices between the two platforms. When we have significant stable coin liquidity on PancakeSwap, that's going to provide a lot more opportunity for trading. It's going to provide a much deeper liquidity pool, and it's going to allow us to start trending and hitting the higher up on these promotional and analytic and charting platforms. And for example, with CoinMarketCap, in order to get the greatest movers list, you have to have a specific amount of liquidity and do a specific amount of daily volume. Currently, right now, we do way more than the necessary trade volume and liquidity, but it's on our own custom decks. On PancakeSwap, we're under that needed range. But this will allow us to get above that range. So when we do, when we have a large pump, we'll be able to get on the CoinMarketCap top gainers list. And to be able to get on that list isn't extremely hard. I mean, you see the moves that they have to get on the top of that list. It's like, 10%, 15%, 30%.
Yeah.
We do those kinds of moves, daily and weekly all the time. So, and a lot of the dry powder that we have on the sideline for marketing is specifically on the sidelines waiting until we're in a position where when we use that dry powder, it allows us to get on these trending lists and to do this kind of stuff, which we need liquidity on PancakeSwap for. This will allow us to access that. So it's just a win-win on all fronts. And I would say, to wrap it up, we could talk about a strategy which me and Bartertown talked about, and I see as being I see there being kind of like a low, medium, and higher risk play here for L1. And I would say if you're going to go low risk, I would say get in pre-sale with the REV token, and or buy at listing. Take your REV tokens, pair them with BNB or BUSD, and start earning REV tokens. And take your drip and drip that you want to allocate to this, or BUSD that you have on the side that you want to put towards drip, and allocate to that and get in this pool, or any of the other farms or pools under here. Really the lowest risk you could have is staking some sort of stablecoin pair and farming REV tokens, then using those REV tokens in the single asset pool to earn BUSD. And now you're securing BUSD profit while accumulating more REV, and now you can use those REV tokens to get into the L2 presale at the best possible exchange rate at the highest possible allocation. Now you take those L2 presale tokens, you stake the dogs to start earning pigs, and you take the pigs and you put them in the governance pool to start earning BUSD rewards. And you just do this. This is this is, if you don't want to include L2, or you want to go up into the L2 presale, then it would be you farm REV. You either buy REV in presale or in at listing. You stake it with REV, wrap BNB, wrap BUSD. You put it in the pool. You start earning BUSD and accumulating REV tokens. Now you're secured profit on the platform. So, especially if you got it with a stable coin, you essentially can't lose. Your stable coins are still in the farm, and you're earning REV tokens that you're collecting BUSD on. So it's extremely, extremely low risk, and there's some gradient in risk depending on how you want to handle that. But it's all low risk. It's from extremely low risk to low risk, and you're earning these BUSD rewards, which you can then put aside, and that's secure profit. Now you don't need to do anything with that. Throw that in your wallet, and now use the REV tokens to get the highest possible exchange rate and allocation from L2. Alternatively, if you want to get into like a medium risk play, you could take the REV tokens that you earn in pre-sale, or that you buy pre-sale or buy at listing, stick them in the REV BUSD pool, REV wrap BNB, and start earning REV tokens. Take those REV tokens, take a portion of those REV tokens, put them in the REV single asset pool to start earning BUSD, and now take that BUSD that you're earning and pair it with the REV that you're earning from these pools. And now you're accumulating your REV position, you're accumulating your position in the farm that has no deposit fee and the highest possible multiplier, and you're earning basically as much REV as you possibly could from the system, which you can then use in the L2 presale and get the best possible exchange rate. And this whole time while you're accumulating REV, all of this capital is being generated on the back end, which is being used to buy REV and remove that REV from circulation. And all of the capital from deposit fees is going to it. It's going towards marketing it. And all of this additional buy pressure is appreciating the price of REV as you're accumulating it. And then I would say the highest risk model that you could take here is buying REV from Presale, buying it at listing, staking it with REV BNB, REV BUSD, putting that REV USD in the REV single asset staking pool to earn BUSD, taking that BUSD, putting it in the drip liberation contract, and now you're accumulating drip, BUSD, and REV in the farm at the same time. And now you could take that drip BUSD that you're accumulating and put it in the drip miner contract here, and put it in the drip BUSD farm here to earn more REV, and you're accumulating more REV here, and you're accumulating more drip here. And in this scenario, it's possible in all of these scenarios, but why I say this scenario, because it's even more unbelievable in this scenario, is you can start out with REV in the presale, buying REV in the presale, add no more additional capital to the system, and you're securing and accumulating BUSD, you're accumulating securing drip, and you're accumulating securing REV tokens at the same time.
Wow.
And then you can use
awesome.
those REV tokens to get the highest exchange rate and highest allocation in L2. And then with L2, the best way to I would say with L2, it's very similar, how you could handle that. But the main difference is, apart from all the things that are different from L2, I mean, just as far as the strategy wise goes, is you would farm dog tokens. You would buy pig and dog tokens in presale, or you would buy dog and pig tokens at listing. You would stake the pig tokens. Now you're earning BUSD rewards from those, and you would stake the dog tokens to start earning pigs on those. And now you're taking the pigs you're earning, and you're staking them to earn BUSD. And now you can take the BUSD you're earning and either pair them, and either pair it with more dogs to strengthen your share of the dog BUSD farm to earn more pig tokens, and that would be like the slightly higher risk play, or you could just secure the BUSD that you're earning through the pigs as profit instead of having to dump the dog and pigs tokens, and just continue to accumulate dog and pigs tokens on the farm, which increase your share ownership of the farm, increase the amount of BUSD you're earning, and essentially you're securing profit the whole time. So
it's beautiful. There's so many different options, hey. And don't worry, guys that are watching. I'm gonna chop up this video and put like timestamps and then upload them as separate videos as well. So you get to study all of this stuff.
Yeah, that would be great. There's just so much to it that it's really impossible to like do a 5-minute video or whatever. I do think that I know that I'm working on it, and I know that I'll be able to get it down to like a couple minute pitch, but it's going to be a pitch. It's not a comprehensive explanation of the project.
Of course.
Yeah, I'm working with someone to create an animated video right now.
Sweet.
As a pitch, that will be out before the public pre-sale.
Yeah.
But there's so much in the works, a ton of marketing in the works. Because I already know the design and the development is there, the community is there, the security is there. So I'm putting so much more focused than I ever have into marketing in this, and we're able to do that because we have additional cash flows that are creating funds that we can use for marketing that don't require paying out in the token that the influencer will dump, or paying out in funds that are generated through the sale of the token in some way, either through some development fee or something like that. So extremely bullish on the project, and
absolutely.
I'm even more so now that we decided that we're going to have this group public pre-sale, because it's going to create a ton more buzz, and also it's great for drip people because it's another incentive to buy drip. So we've done this with other projects, and every single time it caused a massive price appreciation leading up to the whitelisting, and I expect the exact same thing with drip. So I would say people that are smart, I mean, do what you want to do, but it's always best to get in before these announcements are made. So I would say don't wait. If you want to buy drip and stake new drip in the faucet, since I've made this announcement now, we're going to honor if someone like from now on tonight stakes buys 10 drip and stakes it, you're fine, right?
Wow, sweet, beautiful.
So
you heard it, guys. There you go.
But the announcement officially in the call channel won't be till tomorrow. So I would say people that right now you have some alpha. So before it's made in the call channel, even tomorrow, and before it goes super public in all the groups, and all the groups know that that's what they need to do to whitelist, I would beat them to it.
Yeah. Wow, man. That's super exciting.
I know.
What do you reckon, Eric?
Very happy.
It's just wow. It's an information overload, but God, it's exciting.
I would say go over the white paper yourself and get into the farm and get into the drip group and talk about it with people and work through it, because I know there are plenty of people right now that understand the system very well and are ready to go. And and one, because we have great people in our community that are willing to help each other, and two, because we have a referral program, there will be people in there willing to help you.
Yeah, definitely. The community, I mean, man, what can you say about the community? The community is just amazing,
I've never seen anything like it. From all of the support, from all the tools that are being made, from all of the devoted YouTube channels, all of the content creators, all of the groups. We have like at least 10 different languages, like different Telegram groups. I've never seen anything like it. Even in other projects that have team referral programs, I've never seen anything like it. And it's really what makes us successful, and what's going to continue to make us successful in the future. And I think, and it's designed to, when we get this content monetization angle completely in the works, there's just, it's limitless to how much we can grow due to that, because we already have this dynamic playing out where people are starting YouTube channels and creating content to build their team. Now, when we have it more streamlined, so we have the ability for people to get private content and exclusive content for being part of a team, and especially targeted at people that already have large audiences that are paying for content. I mean, it's going to be a major deal for us, and we're every day we get closer to that happening from the negotiations that we're having with the Focus Visual Partnership, which is going to be essentially the like the example, or like the how we want to call it, the case example that we could show other people, to show to them, to show them how beneficial and how profitable it is. to provide content under this model,
Yeah.
it's just gonna. I mean, I can only imagine the growth that we have. And then when
we're
this
just
farm
scraping the
goes
tip of the
live,
iceberg.
yeah, and you know, we saw a very nice price pump in the announcement of this farm, but you have to think that's none of the none of the contracts that are designed to bring capital into Drip have even gone live yet.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the future is so bright. Everything's in the future. Like we like all my projects, we launched with a complete finished operational project.
Yeah.
But with that said, there's so much in the future to be excited about.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's just gonna go crazy. Absolutely crazy.
So could you add the screen share for me so I don't have to close the window to end it?
No worries.
So that way I can come back and see you guys.
Yeah, no worries. I'll remove that. There you go.
All right, cool. Yeah.
Wow.
So
that's awesome, man.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me here.
Thanks for being here, bro.
Yeah, you've done a ton of great work. You and Brandon and all the other content creators out here. I'm so glad that he brought you on too, because I've seen that you've been posting your videos and stuff, but there's I get so many DMs. I see so much that he really put you in front of me and allowed us to get in contact with each other like more directly. Look, so thank you to Brandon for setting this up.
Absolutely, big thanks to Brandon for that. I helped him on his first ever live stream with someone on it. Like I introduced him to StreamYard and stuff, and then since then we've just continually been doing stuff together. When we can. Yeah, and so when again, it was like 2 or 3 in the morning, and I was falling asleep at my desk, and then he messaged me. He said, "Bro, it's go time. We've got to get on." And I thought, "Oh yeah, definitely not going to miss this one." So yeah, big shout out to Brandon.
I trade mostly the Asian European market, so I'm usually up at this time, anyways. But I think the majority of people holding Drip are on. It's more like the U.S. market.
Yeah, definitely.
It is a global project, and we have like a very large investor base in South Korea. We have all over the world, Russia, all over the world. But I think the majority of our investors are U.S. based. So
for now,
it surprised me. Yeah, that surprised me. But I was looking at my analytics, and Malaysia was number 1, which is really weird. I didn't, never expected that.
Surprising. You're gonna have to show me those. You're gonna have to show me those analytics. I've looked at. We got banner ads in the earlier days of Drip, and I was able to look at the countries that were clicking, and it seemed I filtered out some countries just because some countries you're more likely to have like fake clicks coming from, that kind of stuff. And from what I saw, the U.S. was the majority of the clicks, but it wasn't like extreme majority. There was a lot of Europe, there was a lot of Asia as well, but mostly U.S. from what I saw there. But I'd be very interested to see the stats that you're looking at.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a lot of action here.
Share those with you. There is, obviously, I'm an Aussie, but I've been in the Philippines for quite a while, and same as Lucky, he's
Canadian,
from Canada. But over here, I think Drip is just about to take off. Like most of my team are not from here anyway. Like we've got Daffy who's on my stream sometimes. He heads up he's in Ireland and he heads up our Europe team. But through that we've got Ireland, we've got Romania, we've got Italy, we've got Germany, and then extensions of that we've got India and now Australia, Africa. So it is all over the world. We
have a Spanish group, we have a South Korean group.
Right.
I know we have a Turkish group.
Yeah.
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 And it was great. I know we were part of the groups bugging you to lower the drip minimum to 1.
Oh yeah.
That was a really big move, especially for people over on this side. And it's very important for people to get in. We're still at the stage in many countries, just like Philippines, where people are still saying like, well, what is a MetaMask? And
Oh
so
yeah.
I mean, yeah. So but that's what we're at right now. We're building different solutions to help increasing adoption through user friendly applications, right? So
Yeah.
that's what we're doing on this side, and just to get
If you
people on board. Yeah,
Yeah, if you need any kind of support as far like
absolutely,
on my end from a development end or anything like that,
That'd be
just let me
beautiful.
absolutely.
know, get an admin, and I'd be more
Yeah,
to provide resources. You know,
I'll be definitely getting in touch with you off this
yeah,
offline. Yeah,
okay, yeah. There was someone that one of the people that built tools for Drip. Because there's a few
yeah,
different websites where you could
Mhm.
yeah.
use different tools and calculators and stuff. Someone had the
Mm,
idea
Yeah.
to do that, and I helped them do that by doing the front end work. So
nice.
Oh,
like if
beautiful.
someone has a good idea, I could definitely
Yeah.
put some resources into making it happen.
Great.
Whether it's me doing the development or having someone step up to do it or whatever.
We'll
Yeah.
shoot some stuff
Yeah.
off to you for sure.
So I'm more than happy for that. Also what you
Thank you.
said about reducing the minimum was so important,
Yeah.
especially in your part of the world. Uh, that speaks to something kind of unrelated, but when you said it, it just reminded me because I believe I think the Philippines is the highest user of Axie Infinity, the Axie
That's
Infinity
right.
game.
Yes. They
Yep.
definitely
And
are.
it's
Dude.
mostly people grinding the game and basically earning an
Correct.
income, which if they were someone living in like LA or New York or something, it
Yeah.
wouldn't be a sustainable income. But where they're
Dude.
living, it's a great income and it's
Yeah.
sustainable, and it's something that they can rely on. And it and basically what they're doing is they're grinding certain assets in the game that they're then
Yeah.
selling on a
That's what we're
secondary
doing.
market to people
Yep.
who want to come right into the game
Yep.
with those necessary assets to get into the
That's right.
higher capital, higher reward gameplay.
Correct.
I
You
think
know.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the most important dynamic when it comes to building a successful on-chain game, and the NFT game that's going to be the next project to drop. That
Yes. That's what we're super
basically,
excited about.
yeah, basically all of the contracts are done on it. We have the front end and some of the art and stuff that needs to be finished.
Yeah.
But
You know.
but that dynamic that we're talking about
Yeah.
is the primary dynamic of our game that we built
Well,
it around.
that's
Once you've done that,
beautiful.
I'd love to have you back on the show again,
Oh, for sure.
Oh
Forex,
yeah,
and
You know.
obviously because this is a huge market over here.
yeah,
So
Yeah,
yeah.
it is, and I personally have some scholars. They call it an axie, only to give opportunity to people over here. Because yes, agree. You're playing this game and you're earning crypto that you could sell, which you could sell for, and that's your earnings. You're actually
You
earning
can live
more
off.
than if you were to go to a regular job, and
yeah,
that's a reality for people. The massa, we call it the massa over here, the majority of people. And
Yeah.
if your NFT game that you push out later can have those qualities where people could then earn from basically just playing and without huge investments, and or whether you get people like us
Yeah.
who could then invest in certain parts of the platform and then give it off to somebody who can then actually earn through that.
yeah.
That'll play an important
So
role, because that's why the adoption is so huge with Axie, because it has that, right?
yeah. So
And,
for our game, essentially, uh, there are NFTs that act as assets that allow you to essentially earn an in-game currency. The in-game
Hmm.
currency, the rate that you're earning it at is dependent on the NFT you hold, and the NFT that you hold essentially evolves based on the XP or the amount of resources that you spent grinding in the game.
Nice.
So someone who would be a higher capital player that wants to come into the game, instead of spending their time with one of the starting NFTs and grinding to evolve it to get to a system where now they can do some of the higher end gameplay, they can go right to a secondary market and buy one of these already evolved NFTs that someone would have got and created by getting in at a low end by a relatively small starting investment, but then grinding the game and having good strategies to evolve it. So now they can essentially sell their time to someone who has the capital to buy their time and use their primary asset, which is capital. So
That's
and,
right.
And scholars I had were ultimately trying to get into drip. I trying to get them in drip. However, because of their financial situation, this is a good starting point. So now you could earn with Axie or the game that we're gonna launch, and then they could apply some of those earnings or the earnings that I would put in my pocket. I'm actually giving them a bonus by setting up another drip account just for them, right? So you're really ultimately changing lives. I mean, from level one all the way up. Like,
thank you, man. That was always the idea. I mean, when I build something, it's because this is the first project I've built that people have told me they've changed their life. So when I build something and I put it out there, it's with extreme seriousness, because I've had people tell me that they had medical conditions that they were able to take care of because of a project I built.
Yeah, man.
And I just think of all the people out there that have like rug pulled or launched a bug contract or something like that. And I just think of all the, like, imagine this person that was able to get their medical procedure done or able to pay off the debt of their family home that they would have lost because of a project that I launched. Imagine if they had bought that other person's project and got rug pulled or whatever, So I look at it when I launch something, I look at it from that perspective, as if everybody that's buying the token off me has their house on their line, or they have their health or their family, assets on the line. And I take it that seriously with every project I launch.
It's definitely a life changer, bro. And you know this. I said this to you on the stream we did with Brandon as well. I'm one of those people that it covered my medicals. I had that dreaded disease for a few weeks, and it helped me through all of that. And changing lives, man. This is permanent. I don't work anymore, bro. I don't work anymore.
That's amazing.
You're talking to two guys who are literally living off trip right now.
That's awesome. Well, we're going to continue to go. I think as far as the NFT goes, what the NFT game, what I'm looking at doing most likely is launching on Solana. And the reason we would be launching on Solana is because currently right now, the ERC20 network is too expensive to run, and it's too slow to run a game like that. And you see with Axie Infinity, they did an update recently, but for the vast majority of their the life of their project, their game wasn't functional, and they were having all kinds of issues with their servers. And so partly it was due to just the fact that they grew so fast and they didn't have the servers necessarily to handle it, and part of it was just the slowness and cost of the RC20 network that caused a lot of issues for them. So I don't want to launch on the ERC20 network, but the ERC20 network has the best infrastructure for an NFT project. Now, I would say second to that is Solana, but Solana is very quickly building the infrastructure it needs to have a successful NFT game and NFT project. And currently, they do have that infrastructure. It's just a bit newer than the ERC20 network, and they're cheap and fast enough to actually do it in a way that I want to do it. And the way we would incorporate that with Drip is the what I'm leaning towards is, because you can still launch NFTs on Binance Smart Chain. It just doesn't have a good secondary market, and it doesn't have some of the ways that it handles NFTs aren't ideal. but you can still buy, sell, and mint NFTs on Binance Smart Chain. So what will likely happen is the NFT game has multiple NFTs and some of the NFTs are items, in-game items. Some of them are tools, and essentially, we set up all different kinds of conditions for these NFTs. For example, there's an NFT that there's only one of these NFTs in the game, and someone can buy it. And when they buy it off someone, the price of that NFT then becomes 40% higher than the price that person just paid for it. Wow. But every day it reduces in price by 1%. So it reduces the price by 1%, and then it could potentially get to lower than the price of that person that bought it off them. But likely, if that person wanted it, they would just buy it at that rate again. Or someone can choose to buy it higher than them. But anyways, there's this bidding game, and this NFT is an item in the game that gives you specific powers, a specific gameplay that people can take advantage of in the game. So there's that model, and then there are and that's just one. So there's several items that are one of one that have that type of bidding system. Then there is an NFT that is kind of like an NFT that everybody shares that is part of the game. That you get when you first buy into the game, and that's kind of like the starter one that lets you start playing the game. And then there are in-game items that are not one of one, but they're one of a specific number, and these are items in the game. And it's possible to have one of these items be an NFT on the Binance Smart Chain that we use the front end and so a back-end contract to communicate with the rest of the game if this NFT is staked or burned or whatever we decide to do with it. So what we will the way we'll likely integrate Drip with the NFT game is having an NFT on the Binance Smart Chain that you can only buy with the Drip token, and it acts as an item that can be staked in the game on the front end of our game. Even though the majority of our game is running on Solidity, we would use a back-end contract that just communicates to the Solidity contract when when this NFT is staked on Binance Smart Chain and who is staking it. Then that information, when it's communicated to the Solidity network, would be stored on the Solidity chain.
Wow.
That person owns it there. And then say they unstake it, then the backend contract, which is controlled by the front end, would then update the Solidity chain that they just unstaked it. And it's a way to do cross-chain. And since it would just be the staking of an NFT, it'd be very easy to do that kind of cross-chain because you're just updating one piece of information. And the code would be that backend code would be open source as well. So this is what I'm leaning towards because we already have the contracts built for the NFT game, and we could do it the whole thing on Binance Smart Chain, but I just feel like it's going to be way more successful on Solidity. So now I have to think, all right, how am I going to integrate Drip in it in some way? Because I really wanted to do that, and I think that's the ideal way. Have an NFT on Binance Smart Chain that can be bought only with Drip, that can be staked on the front end of the game, and there's a backend contract that's updating the Solidity chain when you do this. So
that's the bridge,
So it's just it's just another thing. This is something that me and my partner are super excited about because building a game can be a lot of fun, and the theming that we chose is extremely fun. And I brought on a developer that builds games. That's like he's not specifically a blockchain dev or a Solidity dev or a Rust dev. He builds games, and he's built some mobile games and some tower defense games. And we brought him on specifically to ensure that the game was fun and balanced and actually took strategy. It wasn't like some of these other games where essentially it just comes down to who has the most money because there's no strategy. It's you buy this one player because this one player is overpowered. You just buy as much as you can of hit that one player, and now you're going to win the game. Essentially, whoever has the most money. This game is very well balanced, so there's strategy there, and this allows people who have less capital but more time and more strategy and more strategic thinking to have a bigger advantage. And someone who has less capital could have more advantage to someone who has the same amount of time and the same amount of capital because they have more strategy in their gameplay. So I'm and just the theming. So we decided to go with a hacker theming. So essentially, I'll leak a little bit here. I don't want to give away too much, but essentially, with the game, you're essentially a hacker, and when you get into the game, the front end is like a terminal look, like a terminal slash 90s hacker movie vibe feeling, like a fun type of hacking kind of simulator type of deal. And when you first buy into the game, you're buying a botnet virus, which is represented by an NFT, and this botnet virus is going around taking control of servers.
That's crazy.
And the servers act as your in-game currency. So as you're taking control of hacking servers, you can then trade control of those servers to buy these items on what looks like a darknet market. So you're trading control of servers for items, which are different hacking items, and we're naming all of the viruses after real viruses, like WannaCry, like Deep Blue, like the Deep Blue, the Deep Blue botnet, and WannaCry ransomware. So
holy shit, NFTs, I'm excited for this.
Don't forget, I love you, Bug. That's from the Philippines. Right? I love you.
I can't wait. I do remember that one. That was the one spread by email way back in the day, like AOL or something. I remember that. Yeah. So anyways, so it has this kind of passive feature where you're running a botnet and trying to make the botnet more powerful, so you can take control over more servers passively as the botnet spreads. While there's a more aggressive, active side of the gameplay where you're building up more specifically red team targeted type of tools, such as rat tools and other offensive tools that allow you to hack other players in the game and take control over their servers. So you're not just passively mining them. You can also attack other players in the game and take control over their servers. And you can also build defenses. And by buying so essentially the more active NFTs have a rating and or have values. It's broken into attack, defense, and looting essentially. So the
Beautiful.
NFTs, the active NFTs, depending on what they are, could have a high attack, a high defense, or a high looting rating.
Yeah.
And for example, a high looting NFT is the WannaCry ransomware NFT. It's essentially all looting. So when there's someone else in the game, what you can do is you can attack them, and if your attack rating is higher than their defense rating, then you can take control over however many servers they have, dependent on your loot rating. So if you have a high loot rating, you'll be able to take over control of more of their servers. If you have a low loot rating, you'll be able to take control over less of their servers, and then you could essentially buy firewall and buy different defensive tools that help you build up your defense against people. And then once a day, essentially, you could take those servers and cash them out on what looks like a darknet for in this case it would be Sol, because we're launching it on the Solidity chain. So this is essentially how you can cash out of the system for selling these servers that you've infected through your botnet or stolen from other players of the game through attacking them through different hacking tools. And this is essentially how you cash out of the game. And then there's like that tool that only one person can have. This can give you special abilities. For example, you can only cash out at one period during the day, so you have to really strategize when you're going to attack someone. Because say you invest all of your capital into having a high attack, and you're not investing into your defense. If you have a high attack and a high loot rating, you can get away with this if you attack people right before it's the time to cash out, so they don't have time to attack you back.
Fucking brilliant, man.
Yeah, well, see,
I can't wait for this shit.
Ridiculous,
me and my partner came up with the theming as far as the gameplay, like the hard gameplay, and like keeping it balanced and all that stuff. That a lot of that is due to the person that I brought on who designs games for a living. So I have to attribute a lot of that to him, and we'll see if he. I'm sure he'll be on the documentation and stuff, but I'll see if he wants to do interviews and stuff. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that would be freaking awesome, man.
Yeah, hopefully, but
freaking awesome.
Anyways, the game has so many elements, and then so we wanted to have essentially NFTs that are also procedurally generated and randomized with specific assets that have different rarity values, like pugs. So our version of pugs is spies. So we have spies in our game, which goes with the hacking theme, right? So and they play a role in the game, and they're procedurally generated with specific assets that give a different rarity rating, and there's a specific amount of them that are minted at the start and never minted again, and you can buy them on a secondary market. This is how you get them after the launch of the game, is by trading and buying them in a secondary market, same as pugs and those ones are traded. All of this has been built and ready to go, but we have we want to make sure we get the art and the theming in the front end to look like a A1 game, like something you would buy from Steam, So this is what we're working on, and we took a little bit of a break from doing it to get the farm up and running, because the farm was something that, like I already said, was something that I thought I was gonna finish in a week, ended up taking a few months, because we built something that we can really stand behind and be proud of, but. We put the game on the shelf for a little bit while we finish that, but I have a few people that are working for me, developers, so it's not just me doing everything. So right now we have people that are have gotten back to work on the game. So I don't want to put out a hard deadline for it now, but it's in the works, and sooner or later.
We're excited for it. We can't wait for that to come out.
You guys heard it first on here, man.
Yeah, exactly. First, right here.
I broke two things. Right? I broke that we're going to have an additional group public sale for the Manor Farm, and I leaked out some information that I shouldn't have leaked out about the NFT game, but I'm happy I did for you guys.
Man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Awesome,
that is just amazing, bro.
Exciting.
Yeah. Awesome.
Right here, you heard it right here first. That's beautiful.
Well, I'll be back. We'll be back. I'm glad that you gave me this opportunity. So,
thank you.
And I would say if you can break this down into a few sections, and
definitely will.
And I'll promote them. I'll get them up on the call group and around on Twitter and all that.
Oh man, so. Awesome! Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, whatever you need from us, like that was another thing too, right? Like however way we support you, or whatever you need on this side, even. Just let us know.
You guys are doing great, but there probably are some specific things that I could use.
Yep. Man.
Because of where you're located specifically, and I'm sure you guys speak a different language. So, do you
we try.
I can't even speak my own language here. Still,
is it Tagalog?
Tagalog,
Filipinos.
Yeah. It's embarrassing because I came from Vancouver and I've been here like 14 years. I still can't speak my own language.
Oh man,
it's pretty embarrassing. Well, it's all English here, so we're good, right? So I mean.
Oh yeah, perfect. Still. Actually, I know someone. I know someone that was a business person in California that met his wife. I believe he met his wife in California, who was a Filipino woman, and he ended up moving to the Philippines, and he lives there now, and he loves it there.
Of course,
he absolutely
it's
loves
crazy
it.
out here, man. Yeah. It's black and white. It's something like you. It's hard. No one will believe us unless you actually come out here.
Yeah.
So
it's pretty.
You guys
crazy.
ever have a chance to come out here?
He told me a couple years ago, so I'm not exactly sure if I'm getting the figures right, but I think what he told me was he spent $50,000 to essentially build his in-laws like a nice store. Like they had their own like corner store already, but he like completely modernized it and made it like a 7-Eleven with like $15,000.
Bro, I'll tell you straight up. You can actually buy an island over here for $50,000.
You can. Oh, there's lots of islands over here. Yeah.
You can buy an island. You can buy like beachfront property.
Just build drip island.
I don't know, like a couple of acres or something, and you can do that. 50,000, 100,000.
I know he lives on the beach. He lives in a beach house that looks like something that would be like, you would pay thousands of dollars a night to get that place. And it's his house. He's just living there. Sure. Like, I think it's probably paid off. It's not expensive,
Yeah. There's definitely benefits of being here.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of benefits. Like, dude, I mean, back home. Well, I don't want to say it's boring, but I mean, North America is North America. I mean, that's home, right? But coming out here is just like.
I've never been to Asia. I've been all over South America. I've been to Mexico and Argentina and Chile and Ecuador, and but never Asia. But I want to go to Asia bad. Sure. I do. I mean, operate part of a business out of Singapore, but I haven't been to Asia.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, we're actually working with economic zones here in the Philippines. So we helped write the first law, ultimately in the world, if you really think about it, for an economic zone, including blockchain and fintech. So that's what we're doing on this side. And so the opportunity-wise, it's just huge. So we have Japan, Korea, Singapore, a lot of business there, Indonesia. So the South Asia Pacific area, like this is like the hub now, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of action going on, especially in the crypto space. The governments are a little more lenient and open. And so what we're doing, my company is we're helping kind of bridge the gap. And for adoption, and also getting the governments to kind of be a little more understanding.
Play ball, yeah. That's if they have incentive, if they have a financial incentive, then they'll get behind it. That's I think that's the main reason why I'm not too fearful about heavy regulation coming down on Bitcoin or specifically Bitcoin, but some of the other cryptos. Mainly Bitcoin, because I see it as a way that the U.S., if they don't heavily regulate it, can essentially export the dollar through second layer and sidechain companies that are allowing for instant settlement, so it can be used for retail and all of these things. And these companies will most likely have whatever stable coin they're using for instant settlement on a sidechain collateralized in USD in the US.
Yeah.
So it's essentially a way to bring banking to the unbanked using US as collateral, which is essentially exporting the US dollar to a bunch of places that currently don't have the US dollar as their reserve currency. And if you went there and tried to take away their current banking system, which isn't much, and try to force them to adopt the dollar, of course they would revolt against it. It's a way to get them to actually accept it as their reserve currency. So, I mean, the U.S. government is not always intelligent in their actions, but this seems like an easy play for them. So
yeah.
So I don't see them
they're getting there.
Heavy regulation.
For sure. Well, definitely, we'll be in touch a lot more often.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to just quickly take a toilet break.
It's all good. I know you guys are. It's super late for you guys, right? Or maybe even
no.
Right now, or?
It's 1 p.m. 1 in the afternoon.
12 hours ahead of you.
For us.
Oh yeah,
so, it's super late for you.
You. I thought you were saying that it was like 2 or 3 in the morning or something, with like a few hours ago, or was that a long time ago?
You messaged me when you messaged me this morning. It was 2 a.m.
Oh, all right. So I read
Yeah,
that.
when
I read that
yeah,
message tonight. That's why it confused me.
yeah,
Yeah, of
that's
course you guys
okay.
are 12 hours ahead, but
Yeah.
all right, guys. Well, anyways,
Hey,
it's
Can I do
pretty
one
late
last
here,
thing?
so go
One
ahead.
last
Yeah.
thing before you go, just while I got you on here, so we can do this as a separate video. All right, as I mentioned to you before we started. Okay, let's just say I'm a noob. I have no idea about crypto. You and I are at some social event, and we just start talking, and then I say something like, "Oh, drip, I've heard about that. How can you pitch to me in 3 minutes so I get onto drip?"
I would say if they don't know anything about crypto, anything about blockchain, anything, I would say that the fastest growing market in the world right now is the crypto market. I would say that
Hmm.
it right now is accounting for a very small percentage of global markets, but it is trending towards taking over a large portion of I guess uh, global currency transactions, or it's taking over uh, various markets, and it is growing at an extreme rate. And there's 3 or 4 major chains that you can look at right now. Uh, I would say the ERC20, the Binance Smart Chain, Solidity, Matic, maybe Phantom, and
Solana,
AVAX
yeah.
are the viable chains right now that have smart contracts. Binance Smart Chain uh, is the one that has proven itself to be the most sustainable, most successful, have the largest amount of volume right under the ERC20 network. But the ERC20 network is expensive and slow. So right now, the chain that I would say has cemented itself to be the strongest would be and still be still be cheap and fast enough, would be Binance Smart Chain. Solidity,
Hmm.
Solana, I mean, just had that situation where it was down for like
Mm.
24 hours or whatever.
Mm.
So they're still in the the figuring things out phase. Like they're very early on still.
Yeah.
Yep.
ETH is too expensive. So Binance Smart Chain, I think, is where you want to be right now if you're going to be on a chain in crypto. And I would say Drip is a way that you can earn yield on the Binance Smart Chain uh, in a way that's sustainable and allows for essentially an alignment in uh, it aligns all the incentive for you to be able to seek maximal profit from your yield, because it's going to prevent you from you know trading or selling to try to earn that profit. uh, all the incentives are for you to get into the faucet, which allow you to earn a 1% daily ROI. And
Wow.
this 1% daily ROI is sustainable because, unlike every other platform out there that is giving a daily ROI, we're not doing the rewards through inflation. We're doing the rewards through a tax on transactions. Uh, Currently, we have over 80% of all of the tokens in circulation in the vault, which is used to pay out taxes. We've gone from 1 million tokens in circulation to about 75,000 the last time I checked. So not only are we not paying out rewards through inflation, we're a deflationary token because we're constantly removing tokens from circulation. We have an extremely low market cap relative to our community and the concept that we have. So we have a ton more room to grow. We have the team building structure. which allows you to earn drip or earn additional yield for bringing capital into the system, allowing the system to be more sustainable. And we have a ton of measures to make the platform sustainable, from max payouts that ensure that someone cannot exponentially compound their gains to a point where it snowballs and runs away, and they cannot compound the additional yield they get through referring in a way that is exponential. Eventually, it hits a point where they then need to restake and essentially start on an even playing field with everybody else again. There's also a max payout, which is 100,000 drip. Now, if someone was to try to deposit all 100,000 drip, they would then be taxed, and essentially half of that drip would remain in the tax pool to continue to pay out tax. Every time someone withdraws or sells, they're adding to the tax pool. So it creates a situation where it can continue to pay out a yield while remaining either stable in supply or reducing its supply. And it's doing this by essentially having sustainability features that are essentially dampening and taxing the way that you can compound, and by properly incentivizing people to build their team and refer other people. And then there are all the utilities that we're working on in the essentially we have the core contracts, which is the reservoir, the faucet, and the decks. We have secondary contracts that we built ourselves and our through partners. We have one with the Gangster Finance project, which is an additional staking protocol that you could use for drip. We have this farm that is about to drop here, which is another use case for drip. We have the drip miner game. We have a partnership in the works with a company called Focus Visual, which manages a ton of the largest influencers in South America, and we have a plan in works to allow people to essentially distribute their or monetize their content through the drip team protocol. Right now, we have I'm in negotiations with a casino that wants to allow people to use drip on their games, and something actually just really cool today came of this. And I know this is obviously more than 3 minutes, but this is more awesome. This is more awesome information that I just got today that I think we've worked out, that the funds that the casino get from their edge will be automatically staked in the faucet, and of course they'll have access to those drip, because they are having a casino. This is how they have an edge in their game, but it's actually the largest blockchain casino, and they have multiple tokens on there, a good handful of tokens on there, and essentially what I've been going back and forth with them about how we were going to handle this, because I didn't want them to monetize their casino essentially by just every time they win drip they sell drip. I didn't want that, because I do think if we provide this additional utility, it's great for the project. It brings in new users. It's great for promotion because now we'll be promoted on the largest casino in blockchain. It's great for a bunch of reasons, but I don't see the core people of Drip really being gamblers, like people that are going and playing slots and stuff like that. I see more as people that want to like earn yield and stake and be more of like a low risk reward model. But just from them promoting as part of a casino, there will be a bunch of people that are going on there to gamble. So the casino will be making some edge. So I wanted to ensure that, first of all, the capital that they have in the bankroll is secure, because they need some bankroll that is just free for them to play games. And then whatever they're making in an edge from the team is automatically staked in the faucet. And I got them to agree to that. At some point, it's like very early in the morning here. At some point last night, which is a few hours ago, I got them to agree with that. So essentially, they agreed to it. The contracts need to be built to actually do it, though, because it needs to be automated. So, but that's not super hard. That's something that we could do. So that's something that's likely to be happening in the next few weeks, like be fully underway.
That's beautiful.
So, they can add bonus pools and whatnot. They can even do like extra bonus pools there. With Drip.
Someone else that wants to do a lottery for Drip. That's a that's someone that's a developer that I know. That's they're a trustworthy developer, and essentially they're just waiting for me to give them go to build a lottery. And the only thing that we're deciding on now is whether they essentially want some Drip as like a starting pot for the lottery, but there doesn't need to be a starting pot for the lottery, because the people that pay the tickets are essentially giving the capital that is then redistributed to the owner. So there's no need for that. But that was one of the things that they asked that we bring to the table, and I'm gonna essentially come back to them with a counter negotiation. And but there's so many things going on in the background with Drip.
Man,
and I just I don't like to make announcements of announcements, and I don't like to make deadlines or make anything official until I'm 100% sure that that's going to happen. But there's so much going on in the work with Drip that you
think
it's crazy. So I would say that just actually try to do it here in like less than 1 minute, right? A quick explanation of Drip, why they should buy. I say because BSC right now is the chain that I believe is the best as far as price and speed to be able to do something like this while still having a proven track record. And I believe that Drip itself is the most sustainable daily ROI platform on the Binance Smart Chain, due to your ability to earn a daily ROI, which is coming from a tax on transaction instead of inflation, where the only product that has a daily ROI that's not doing it through inflation. In fact, we are deflating in circulating supply, and due to the restrictions we put on as far as compound growth, allows it to be sustainable and allows the team building aspect of it to essentially outgrow any kind of compound gain that could lead to us not being sustainable. And that's why I think Drip is, including everything else that we have going on in the background for Drip that's being built for Drip. This is why I think that Drip is the best platform, specifically best daily ROI platform on Binance Smart Chain, and Binance Smart Chain is the most proven chain right now with the kind of gas and speeds that you want.
Beautiful.
So there's your minute wrap up, right?
Man, awesome.
You asked me to do it like on the tip of my toes. I needed to, I needed a second to get prepared, but there it is.
Okay. Well, man, we're gonna have to talk in the future about my Alak-Azul project as well. Right, in the future, not now. But my Alak-Azul is basically it is obviously a physical drink, but we're also building out a DApp and NFT game to launch simultaneously with the launch of the actual physical drink
That'll
next
be
year.
fun.
So
That's awesome.
it's man, and look, it's blue, it's liquid. I'm sure that there's some way that we can integrate that also with drip.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, of course. And I've thought about doing. People have asked to do some sort of like merch NFT type of like combined thing, and the only reason why I haven't done that is because when you start getting into merch, then you that's a whole other kind of business, like apart from crypto.
Absolutely.
And I'm fully into crypto right now, and I don't really want to venture outside of the crypto space. But if you have the the systems and the resources in place to be able to do merch, then I think there's a lot of room there for doing some sort of product NFT collaboration. I do think it's a good idea. So yeah, man, definitely let me know.
Man, awesome.
Cool.
All right. Well, most of the questions that came up during the stream, we pretty much answered anyway. I think actually all of them. So we won't go into that. But guys that are watching, feel free to comment once this is already up there, and then we'll cover that in future videos if we need to. And that's pretty much it. Unless you guys want to say any more.
Well, I would say nice to meet you, Lucky, and thanks for having me. And I'll be back.
Man, thank you again so much for coming on. I know it was a major mission trying to align up our schedules, but here we are, and I greatly appreciate it, brother.
Well, so could you put the links to everything? If I send them to you, put them in the details.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
So once we finish the broadcast, it'll take. Well, YouTube's a little bit slow lately. But by the time they process the HD, it's a few hours. But yeah, send it to me and I'll put it into the description.
Okay, and then if people click the Manor Farm link, they can go in the docs and find links to everything else.
Yep,
so absolutely. It's all there. All right.
Cool.
Thanks, man.
Awesome, brother. Thank you very much again, and we'll be speaking with you real soon. And everyone else, thank you.
All right.
Eric, stay on for a little bit. But
all right. Later, man. Thank you.
Thanks, brother.
Bye.
Cheers.
Okay, guys. Thank you again. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for staying on while we've been doing the stream. I know it's late for a lot of you out there, and I'm going to get off shortly, and I'm going to have a sleep too. But absolutely awesome news, man. How's that, bro? We had
was crazy,
Forex, like,
dude. Kidding me?
Man, so many announcements just for this, on our show. So that's awesome. All right, brother, you stay on there. I'm going to play the end screen.
All right,
ladies and gentlemen out there, Alak-Azul. I'll be drinking the blue drinks next time. And thank you very much. See you later.
Cheers.